Hello and good evening. I am Sava from Sava Talks Football, and it is the third episode of the Spurs review. I am joined today, as always, by the Irish Hotspur. David, how are you, my man? Are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good. Apologise, everybody, for missing last week. Had my own stuff to do with Liverpool game being on the Sunday, but I'm here again today. Thanks for having me, boys.
He's back. He's back. No, good to have you back. We have got Couva 99, the 99th for the Cougars. How are you?
Yeah, doing well. Positive weekend for a change. So, let's have more of them.
Let's see how long we can keep it positive, Couva. You're going to love my first question. And we have got Pete from at North London. Pete, how are you after a busy day of building IKEA furniture, I think?
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah, not finished it yet, but yeah, I'm all right. It's nice to see you wash all that mud off, though, mate. I was hopeful you've had a shower before you turn up.
Yeah.
Well done.
Do you know what? If I get welcome to everyone in the chat. Yeah, if I get one more person telling me Sam's in the mud, like I don't know what this young saying means, but never mind, guys. Let's kick on. Everyone in the chat, please please subscribe, please join in. Keep it clean, keep it friendly. It's just football. At the end of the day, it's just football. Let me start, Pete. Let me start with you this week. Look. We sat here last Sunday and said, look, we've got 2 games before we break up for the World Cup. It's imperative we win both so that we go to the other side, still in the top 4 and in the League Cup still. Mixed bag. We've managed to win the game with Leeds at home. We will look to shambles for the game at Forest away. What have you made of the week in all? Has it been a good week, a bad week, an indifferent week? What do you make of it?
I suppose slightly different, really. None of the results have changed my perspective on what needs to happen or where we are at all. The less that I think the game on Saturday could have changed. I think a lot if we'd have lost that. I think the fact that we nicked the win out of that sort of change the narrative slightly, because I think it was slightly heading towards Conte getting a lot of grief, especially after the Forest game.
Yeah.
So that sort of game has sort of saved his skin a bit for now. There's no more football. Sort of nick a win and run out. It's sort of like a smash and grab at home, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was indeed. I mean, David, how important was nicking that win? Because look, as someone who's pretty outspoken about my feelings of the football and what's going on at the club myself, you can start to get that feeling that if we hadn't have won that game yesterday, you've lost to Forest. You then don't beat Leeds at home. It's changed from being a kind of somber mood for the 6-week break to phew, like we got it over the line. How do you see it?
Look, I think obviously winning probably changes people's mindset going into the 6-week break. Obviously puts more of a positive things on a spin on things, I would say, over the next 6 weeks. I think it was important we won yesterday. Look, at the end of the day, I've told you before, I just enjoy winning. Don't care how. Yeah. Well, obviously, it's nice to do it in the best style of football, but I don't care how. Nothing in the world, no person, nothing I've tried to do in life gives me the satisfaction of a Tottenham win. So I absolutely love winning. But look, we've still got a lot to discuss over the international break. It doesn't cover up absolutely everything we've seen. If I'm being fair, there's still a lot of talking points, but it also changes the mindset of the players, hopefully, and maybe the manager going into this 6-week break. And but Nottingham Forest was a huge opportunity missed, in my opinion. You got Arsenal going out, you got Chelsea going out, and Man City, Liverpool playing each other in the next round. I thought the Carabao Cup was a real good opportunity for us to maybe go deep again in the competition and actually try and lift the trophy this time and just get that hoodoo offer back. Sadly, it didn't happen because of a shit performance.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I mean, look, Couva, obviously, we've done a few shows together this week, so I kind of know where you're at with most of it. But does the win yesterday does that kind of make up for going out of the cup to Forest? Or is it just papering over what has been a really bad spell of form, right? It's not been good. Yesterday was our second win in 5 in the league. We're 14th or 13th in the form table. Does it cover up for going out the cup, which was a genuine chance of lifting a trophy?
No, of course not. That cup exit was nothing short of disgraceful. You don't make up for that by scraping by in a 7-goal thriller against the bottom half of the table team. I mean, there were times in that, although we won, it's great and it was exciting. I love all that, but you got to look at it in perspective. Leeds were dominating parts of that game. It wasn't like they got 3 consolation goals. They were well in that game. It's only a bit of quality and at times when it really mattered. And if it hadn't been for their goalkeeper having an absolute shocker, we perhaps wouldn't have scored all those goals either. It's perspective. We limped through it. We had to win that. If we didn't win that, there's serious questions getting asked then. I think it would have been an unbearable few months of waiting for January and then hoping just something, just anything to get us on the right track. I still don't believe in where we're going, our direction at the moment, but that's Spurs for you, isn't it? We keep hoping.
Don't worry, we'll come to those difficult conversations shortly. I'm just trying to start it nicely and ease in nice and gently. Pete, I mean, look, this is, let me change the tempo. Look, at the end of the day, the difficulty that I'm having with this, and I know, look, a win's a win. Yeah, and like David said, you just want to win, and Spurs fans, it's great. But for me, I'm looking at this now that, this is 8 games in a row that we've gone behind. 5 of those have been by 2 goals that we've gone behind. We've won 3 of our last 6 Premier League games and lost the other 3. The 3 that we've won have been against teams in the bottom half, 2 of which are in the bottom 6. The 3 we've not won have been against the teams in and around us. So some might say, well, it's okay, just keep beating the teams lower down and you're going to be fine. But is it papering over cracks, Pete? The fact that we can beat Leeds, we can beat Bournemouth, but Newcastle dispatched us. Man U dispatched us easily. Chelsea played us off the park. We couldn't beat West Ham. Arsenal dispatched us quite easily. Is it worrying that these games are the games giving fans false hope?
Yeah, it massively papers over the cracks. And another factor to that is the way we actually win them, because it's a late winner or whatever. The euphoria sort of everyone gets carried away. But when you take that emotion out of it, reality is we are still struggling in first halves and struggling against any team really. We just happen to be able to keep pegging some goals back against the lower teams, but we've already seen with Liverpool, although we sort of give them their goal a bit of a siege in the second half, the better teams, we won't get so lucky because they will have defences and firepower to take us out of the game, and it's going to keep happening. I don't see nothing in that performance on Saturday that makes me think right we're on the upward trajectory or anything like that. If anything, just further reinforce what I've been saying all along, that this is poor. It's only going to get poor. I mean, I think the World Cup's the break's probably a blessing in disguise because then we can't play any more games like that. But I think when we come back, it'll just be same as usual. Royal will be starting, and the first game will we won't probably turn up in the first half.
Yeah, I mean it's
Merry
strange.
Christmas.
Isn't it? Well, it's strange, isn't it? I mean, David, look, if we look, we've never had a World Cup in the middle of a season before, so this is strange. Is this a case of Tottenham taking the time, resetting, come back and looking different? Because my worry with that is I was told that this is what was going to happen in the summer. All summer I was told when they've had a pre-season with him, the football's going to be better. He's going to have been able to drill the defenders to play the way he wants. We've actually come back looking worse. So is this good? Is this a good break to be having now or not?
I think it's come at the right time for Conte for sure. I think if the games would have kept coming in the way they're coming, I don't think we would have been able to have that break. I think injuries would have just kept going the way they've been going. But look, I do think there's been a bit of an unfair narrative around what's going on at the minute. Like if we're sitting here right now, I mean, probably not you guys because you're a bit more hardened, but most people that if I offered top 4 and last 16 of the Champions League going into the World Cup, they would have snapped my hand off for it.
Sure.
But also, I think, look, I did think with the summer transfer window, we'd probably be playing a bit better football, but Kulu, I think we've seen yesterday how big he is in terms of creativity, helping Harry Kane, taking some of the pressure off everything having to come through Harry Kane. Kulu can also take that burden. So I think he's been a big miss. I think Romero's been an absolutely huge miss at the back line. But when it came to the defence, I was playing with you over the summer, Sav, on one of my community posts where I was like, we need defenders in here rather than cams, and because I didn't believe Dyer was going to continue on the level he was at last season, or Sanchez, or some of them other players. I just knew when I go back over years of gone by with these guys, I knew they would revert to type at some time. And a lot of people do say about Gary Neville, say it, Ashley Young, and other people. Where under Conte's regime, it's so mentally and physically demanding that some players just can't keep up with it. And I knew these guys wouldn't be able to. Potts said about Dyer, he doesn't believe in himself enough, this, that, and the other. Jose said something similar. And, like, there's a reason why when we were playing in a nice brand of football and stuff like that, Dyer was never in his best 11, purely because he cannot get out there and replicate on a week-to-week basis. And you're just seeing absolute calamitous errors, especially over the last month and a half. Not only out of Dyer, out of Sanchez, I think Doherty's been shit. Sessegnon can't cross-ball. He's regressed. I think we're having huge problems across that back line. I think it also hinders our style of play. Now, I'm not going to sit here and profess that Conte is the most attacking manager out there. He's not. Yeah. But I do believe you would see a better style of play and more of Tottenham on the ball if we had players that you could trust to transition that ball, whereas not when they get the ball, you're thinking, oh, it's 50-50 whether it's actually going to make the man or not. And I think we're having huge problems with that back line, but hopefully we can use this 6 weeks now to get some sort of plan together for the second half of the season that we can protect that back line. Look, for me, the obvious answer is the January transfer window, but we'll wait and see what happens there. But I do think there's been just to spice it up a little, let's get straight into it. I think there's been a bit of an unfair narrative.
No, absolutely. Look, and look, it's football, right? It's opinions and it's debates. And just quickly before I come to you, Kuva, James Hunter, when you're saying I'm so anti-Conte, I mean, I feel like that's a massive overreaction. I just don't like his style of play. It's not like, look, let me put it this way. The best thing when you don't like something is you want to be proven wrong. Yeah? I want to be able to come here in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year and go, you know what? I was so wrong about Conte. Look what he's done. But listen, James, I've been here before. And I think Pete will probably be of the similar opinion to me with this, that I've been here before when I hear, well, if we just back him, but it's like, yeah, that's the bit that I've got problems with. Yeah. So I haven't backed myself into a corner at all. I'm happy to be proven wrong. And about being too dogmatic, I mean, that's a great word to use, isn't it? Lose the agenda. James, you lost me. You lost me at agenda. It's just an opinion, my man. It's just an opinion. Kuva, where are you with this? I mean, look, I do agree. And I know David and I have had a lot of chat on WhatsApp today about how much the back line does affect our ability to play. Now, my opinion on this, Kuva, and you know this, you do a lot of shows with me every week, is if you are not good, if you are not solid defensively, I'm of the opinion that two things happen. One, don't overload with more players who aren't very good in those positions. Keep it to a minimum, i.e. don't play 5 at the back if you've got 5 bad defenders. But equally, I'm of the opinion, if you are bad at the back, stop inviting pressure onto your back line. Because Spurs, we look good, like in the last 20 minutes yesterday, when Bentancur is driving forward with the ball, when Kulu is given license to drive forward. So where are you at with this whole, the defence is the problem, all of it?
The defence is the problem if we ever want to win anything, that's for sure. But for actually playing style, for me, you can just bomb forward, ignore the defence. Fuck it, just pile on down the other end of the pitch. Go for it. Stuff some 5-3s, 4-3s. I don't care. Just want to. I enjoyed the game yesterday for the first time in bloody weeks. I mean, second half against Liverpool was good, but I mean, we're like feeding off the scraps of 45 minutes of football in games. Midweek, we didn't even get that. It was just nothing throughout the whole game. I just want to be excited, get off my seat about something. Yesterday did that. Kulusevski was great. I love that stuff. But you look at the back, though, you can see we're not going to win anything with this lot. That's for sure. So I'm still going with my opinion of, if you want to win something at this club, It doesn't matter who the manager is. You might as well back Conte. It really doesn't matter. It's all about the board backing him, which I don't think they will. Since that's not happening, I'm sticking with my opinion of I just want to see some entertaining football. I want to enjoy what I'm watching. Don't care about the results at the end of the day because I know we're not going to be winning anything. What's the point in getting in top 4 every season when we never do anything with it? That was the big thing. Keep hearing all this extra money coming in, be used on players, will be challenging next season. How many years in a row do I hear that? It never happens. I've given up on that time.
Do you know what? Sorry to jump in here, Cover. This is the thing for me. Fans talk so much about, well, we're top 4, we're top 4, we're top 4. Every year we get top 4. We don't then go and spend like a top 4 club. What's the point? Like, let's be fair. The Champions League so far, yeah, we got through. That's great. But it's not been good, has it? The Champions League group games have not been good. We've struggled against, they're Champions League teams. But let's be honest, guys. If I had shown you this group last year and said this is a Europa League group, you would have believed me.
If you just have to look at the most obvious bit, who was the other team that qualified with us? Eintracht Frankfurt.
But surely you guys
saying they're a good team.
Surely you'd rather be watching us in the Champions League than losing to NS Mora. Come on.
No, of course. But listen, my point there, David, isn't I don't want us to get Champions League. My point is that when fans constantly celebrate, oh my God, Conte came in and got us Champions League football. Great. Okay. And what did that mean in the summer? Absolutely no difference to our transfer policy. Absolutely. It didn't do anything for us as a club, right? Let's be really, really honest here. If we hadn't have had that group, we don't go through. You look at some of those other groups like Inter, Bayern and Barca in a group, and we managed to get Sporting Lisbon, Eintracht Frankfurt and Marseille. You know, so for me, I just think fans put, and Pete, what do you think of this? I think fans put so much stock in, but we're fourth. Great. I would expect to be fourth, Pete, when we've got Kane, Son and Kulusevski's goals. I don't think many teams can match our goal power. So where do you sit with this whole where we are in the table versus the football we're seeing? What matters to you, Pete?
Or both, but you got to, when people say, oh, we're fourth, this, that, and the other, then you got to go, okay, let's analyse that and let's see how we've got to fourth. And when you look at it, it's been losing or dropping points to every team that can play semi-decent football. Everyone else who's shit in the bottom half of the table, we're managing to beat and struggle to beat at that. But we've managed to get over the line. In the Champions League, let's be honest, that group should have been done and dusted by about the 4th game. But the same performances transpired in the Champions League. Let's be honest, not one of them games had a Champions League game feel about it. It's Europa League football. They were awful games. I said they couldn't even sell the seat. I was getting emails offering me and my whole street a ticket. Do you know what I mean? At £90 each, I might add. But you could buy tickets for a Champions League game. When could you ever do that? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's mad. So the football has to be better. But it's not getting better. It's getting worse, in my opinion. We might be having a good second half and winning and getting results, but what I struggle with is right. We play shit in the first half, then he takes off Royal, and then everything gets better straight away. The next game, Royal starting again. So like, what is this? You see the clips of him, and you think we must be a laughingstock in this league watching that idiot. Honestly. You see the clip. I mean, and there was one geezer went, and some geezer went, he's improving, and then there was another comment saying, well, yeah, he actually is. Actually, this week his shot managed to stay in the ground. Do you know what I mean? And that's the sort of level improvement we're looking at. It's unbelievable. I despair.
I mean, look, you are right. I mean, David, listen, and as someone said, you're here to calm us all down. I think the thing is, right, I'm not calm about it. I think people seem to think that if I say I don't like a manager or I don't like a style, it means that I'm angry. I'm not angry. It's football. I'm not angry about it. I want to enjoy what I see, right? It's not anger. Pete's got a point there, David, right? Like, as much as we can say, oh, Conte's not got this, he's not got that. He chooses to play Emerson Royal week in, week out, right? He chooses to make the changes in the second half, which then allow Bentancur to go and look more like an attacking midfielder rather than a guy that sits and holds. So why can't we start games like that? Why can't we not start with Royal?
Look,
Talk to me, David. Tell me.
I am. Look, it's like, look, I actually think Emerson Royal is better than Matt Doherty. But if
Oh
No, no,
honestly,
no.
you guys don't have to. You guys don't have to sit in the Aviva with me twice out on international duties to watch this guy. I pay 90 quid at times to go and watch this guy. It's ridiculous. But honestly, for me, I don't think either of them are great. I really don't. But I do think Emerson is better than Matt Doherty. And for me, it's kind of like, if we're being brutally honest, right? You may think Doherty's better than Emerson. Fair enough. But
my nan's
both
better
of
than
them are shit.
Emerson.
Both of them are shit, though.
It's agreed.
Like Doherty has had chances this season. He hasn't took them, but Emerson has had chances and hasn't took them. So it's pick your poison. Same at centre back. Dyer, Sanchez, one of them has to play. It's pick your poison. And it's kind of like I think it's unfair. I think if you put yourself in Conte's shoes, you look at the situation, you pick Doherty, he lets you down, you go with Emerson the next game, or you bring Emerson off the bench, he plays well, you go with him the next game, he lets you down. Dyer's just making absolute calamitous errors. That fought for 2 goals yesterday, in my opinion, and a number, I think he's on about 8 this season. That's just completely, absolutely unacceptable for any defender across world football at a high level. Sanchez, absolute donkey, and it's kind of like, it doesn't matter what he does. One of these has to play, and you just don't know what you're going to get out of them when you pick them. And they're in a position where it's costly. It's really costly. You want to win trophies and cups. First of all, you have to have a good backline. So when you come up against the better teams, you can keep them out, which then gives you a chance of going up to score goals, which means in tight games, they're decided by usually 1 or 2 goals. And that's why a backline is very important. Then you go on to left wing back. Session is an absolute donkey.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? I agree with you. We've also had injuries to Romero, which means at times Sanchez and Dyer has had to play up until recently, till he's brought Langley in and brought Davies on the left. But as well, you can't sit here and forget, many fans, when we were actually winning games and picking up points, called for changes. Now, when they were calling for changes, who did they think we were going to play? Virgil van Dijk and fucking Kylian Mbappe. So if you're going to call for changes, you've got to expect that these guys are going to come in here.
Thing is, what I don't understand is, I know what you're saying, Dyer has to play or this one has to play. They don't if you don't play a back 3. Yeah, I agree. It's not square peds in round holes, it's square heads. Yeah, because Dyer is awful. Are we going to forget the last
couple of managers where we did play a back 4 and it was even worse? We finished 8th.
Was it even worse? I don't remember us being this bad at the back for ages.
We still might finish. It
was shocking. Dyer Dyer's
shit. We know that, but we never had Romero then, and you never had Longley then.
Yeah, but Romero's been injured most of the season.
Listen, Romero's a tosser. He's just sitting there waiting for the World Cup. He's not injured, and no one's got the stones to say get out and get playing because you start the first game for Argentina. His priorities has always been Argentina. We know that. We've seen that.
You can't throw it on a manager for not picking him if we're being told by the club he's injured.
Fair enough. My main point is don't play a back 3 if you have to pick. If your options are that bad as they are, which I agree, don't make yourself have to use 3 of them and keep the ball away from them. Get it up there, leave it up there, keep it up there. I know we can't do that the whole game, but attack is the best form of defense. Like, don't employ a tactic that makes we rely on these players because they will let you down. They've let every other manager down, especially Dyer. He's mistakes galore. So why can't you go with Romero and Longley, for example? I know what to say lately, but start with doing something like that and go, okay, we'll go with a 4. Because every other team manages to play a 4. We're the only real ones in the league that really play a 3.
But everyone wanted Graham Potter in here before Conte, and he plays 3 across the back with 2 wing backs.
He
might not though if he comes to us, because then he sees what he's got to work with, and he may forget that.
Changes, doesn't he? Potter changes. I mean, look, I want to continue this debate in a second, and I want to bring Coover in as well. John Bamford, I just want to let you know, when you say I've been proven wrong, if you go back to look at my video right before the season started, and then a video I did when the Champions League group was announced, and Pete will tell you, Coover will tell you, I predicted Spurs to finish 4th this season and to win the Champions League group easily. So when you're telling me I've been proven wrong, nothing's happened that I didn't think was going to happen. Fans think because I don't enjoy the football that I've predicted we're going to finish like 12th or something. That's not the case. I've always said 4th. Phil P with a super chat. Big up to Phil. I love Phil. Always sends me something in the morning that just makes me reminds me that football is just football. He said, with our squad, attack is the best form of defence, as Pete just said. Look, guys, I want to talk about this whole back five versus back four thing, because for me, I get it. This is Conte's style. We know how he plays. I just don't understand that if your centre backs are as bad as the options as we've got, right? Why you would want to constantly play three of them, knowing that once Romero's out, it's shit. I just can't understand how playing more weaker players as opposed to putting in a stronger centre mid and moving to a 4-3-3.
Let me ask you this.
The question I'm asking here is this. If we went to a 4-3-3, we're not good at the back in a 5. What's the difference if we play a 4, then have the 3 midfielders, 2 of them are holding, you still got your front 3, allows Bentancur to push on. How many more goals are we going to ship by playing a 4? Because we're shipping goals for fun at the moment. Anyone can take that. Kuva, you, David.
Go on, you look like you were hot to answer that, Dave.
No, I wanted to flip the question, so you can answer that, and then I'll ask the question.
Okay. I don't see a problem at all with it. Putting the 3 in front of the back 2 central defenders. You look at the amount of times this season, Højbjerg actually has to come back into the defence to help out anyway. So the defensive midfielders, if they got their head screwed on, they're going to be helping out there anyway. I agree. I'm all for going forward in numbers. I want to see attacking football at all times. Don't care. My anger is not with Conte. My argument is always there's no point Conte being here. We've got him for no reason. We're not going to back him to get what he needs to do the job. He will do the job. As soon as he goes to a club that supplies him with what he needs, he'll win stuff again. Same as Mourinho. This is what always happens here. It gets transferred onto the manager because that's what the club does. Chairman gets away with murder. Manager is supposed to fall on the sword. In the meantime, for me, my whole argument is I just want to see some football that I enjoy watching. That's it. I've given up on trying to win anything. That's not happening here. Not until we get new owners in.
I agree.
The only football you're going to get is long ball. It's the only thing the defenders are capable of playing. Like, to play the modern way of football, build out from the back, they have to be able to do it consistently. They just can't.
Yeah, they do.
Even when we are playing well and we're in possession, they switch off and start putting the ball into the stands because they get bored. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. But Sav, I'll ask you, this worked last season. The formation worked last season, got us top 4. We were scoring lots of goals. The difference between this season and last season, in my opinion, Romero's been out injured a lot of the season. Dyer has not kept up the same levels he kept up this from last season to this season. Sanchez has dropped off in form from where he was at last season to this season. A lot of our players across that back line have, and also we've had a long injury to Kulu. Just to show how important he is, I think he's got 5 assists this season. I think he's up there in the pecking order for that up the top. But yet he's missed 6-7 games. And all these little things, whether we like to admit it or not, it makes a massive difference to the way we play, because Romero can transition the ball out from the back. Not when Kulu's playing, it's not so obvious, because when Kane's playing, you got 2-3 centre halves up against him. It's easy. Wait till the ball's put in his direction, get right up his hole, put pressure on him, take the ball off him because there's no one else there. But when Kulu's there, you have the option to play Kulu and Kane, and the two of them can link up. So it makes a massive difference to the way we play. I actually thought we had a good first half yesterday, but found ourselves conceding goals. It doesn't matter what way we play at this club, whether we sit back, whether we go forward, we are shipping goals, and it has to be sorted out if we want to see any change at this football.
The thing is, Kulu and Romero were there earlier in the season. The football was still shit then.
Agreed.
It was equally poor. Yeah, we've been poor all season. We've not had a really good game. A half against Southampton. A little bit against Fulham, but even they could have nicked something. But even when we're nicking the result, the results are still there now, but the football is just awful. But the football has been poor. The football has been poor all season. It was just we were just waiting to get to this point where we start getting the dick in, and this coincided when we start playing some decent teams. We start getting pumped. We start getting turned over.
Yeah. I mean, I think, look, to answer your question, David, look, the thing is, that's Conte's job. When you're saying the difference this season is, Romero's been injured, but even when Romero was playing, he wasn't playing well. That's the manager's job to get him playing well. The difference is that Davis and Dyer haven't been as good as the end of last season. All right, again, that's Antonio Conte's job to get them playing. Now, the difficulty I've got here is that, I don't see this as one person's fault. I don't sit here and go, oh my God, this is all on Conte. You know how much I hate the owners. You know I don't want the owners here, right? But I can't help but look at the fact that since Conte's been here, we've signed 9 players, and not one of them has addressed, i.e. what you and we are talking about here, which is a top quality right wing back and 1, possibly 2 centre backs. If this was what it needed for Spurs to become a good team, why weren't from our 7 signings this summer, why were they not 2 top centre halves and a right wing back? Why have we gone and spent 60 million on Richarlison? Yeah, Longley on loan. Why did we do this if the root of the problem, and Conte knows it, is the centre backs? I'm going to throw that back to you. Why?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, for me, I think with the Richarlison money, I think we'll all agree it's been 8 years since we had a proper backup to Kane. It's something that everybody was aiming at the club before this transfer window about getting in a backup. So, look, you can have I think you can have your grievances with maybe how much we played, or if you're not happy with the target. But at the end of the day, we addressed that a long-standing issue by bringing in Richarlison in here, bringing in Basuma here into midfield. We all know we needed back up to Højbjerg and Bentancur and someone to be able to push them, dip in and out. Langley, look, I believe we got him in on loan because from my understanding is that we couldn't get our first choice target, so we're holding back and getting that, which is something that's been argued at the club before. Why aren't they getting the first choice targets? Why don't they hold out for it? And if that is what they're doing, I'm not saying it is, but if that is what they're doing, fair enough, I can understand it.
No, hang on. Your argument doesn't work on yourself. Your argument doesn't work on yourself then. If you're telling me this isn't on Conte, right? This isn't on Conte.
Let me finish.
Go.
If we want to be brutally honest, right, we were coming into this window needing 15, 16 players. If we're being brutally honest with a brutal assessment, I think Dyer's a good player, I think this bullshit. If we're being brutally honest, 15 new players. It's not possible to do that all in one window on quality and money. So we were always going to come out with it, whether it be the forward line or the back line, where we were going to be short. It was always going to happen. Everyone was going to come out of the transfer window moaning about a position here or there, and I understand that. But for me, I want to send both. I could see the problem coming, and it didn't happen. I was pissed off over not getting them in here.
David, I understand that, but this is the thing. This is where the argument doesn't work.
That on Conte. Conte has said he's already come out and said we need 2 or 3 windows. You put that on people higher up.
I agree, but I agree with that sentiment. But hang on, if we're talking about, everyone at the moment is saying this is all on the defence. This is all on the defence because of the defence. Conte doesn't trust them. We can't play how we want to play, right? So first and foremost, sort out your defence. Yes, we want a backup striker, but it doesn't need to be, if this was the only funds we had, it doesn't need to be a 60 million backup striker, right? I would have been very happy not getting a backup striker if it had meant we bring in top centre halves. Now, what I would say
you were arguing for a cam in the summer, though. You were saying we didn't need centre backs; we needed a cam. You said it was more of a priority than centre backs.
Hang on. Anyone who's been talking to me all summer will tell you 2 centre backs, a right wing back.
But you were in my community. You were in my community section where you put in comments and you were saying cam is more of a priority than a centre back.
No, both. I've always been of the opinion you've got to buy both. My point is, if you've only got X amount of money, at least solve one of the issues. I don't believe we solved any of the issues in the summer. That's the problem, right? Now, my problem with this whole thing, and Cooper, I'll bring you in here on this, and just quickly, I'll say Wolves F1, thank you so much. There's a very, very generous super chat there. It says, Spurs unravelling season, 3 points below City and winning the UEFA Champions League group. Wahoo, Phil P. Look, it's different ways of looking at things. But look, just to come back to, so thank you, Wolves F1. I really appreciate that. This whole argument, Cooper, I'm going to bring you in here, of we're going to wait for our number 1 target for centre-back, right? What a load of, so I'm going to say it, what a load of shit. I'm sorry. Every club goes out into the market and has multiple targets to go for. You don't just go, I want those 2 centre-backs. No one else can play in a Conte way. Yeah? He should have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that can all play his style. Yeah, you can't get your top 2, you go and get someone else. The danger, Kuva, for me, of this whole we're waiting for that player to come available. That player could get injured for a year. Spurs could not make the Champions League. That player's no longer interested. Yeah. The manager goes mid-season for some reason, right? Now all of a sudden that player doesn't want to come and not play for that manager. How can we say that the defence is the problem, but we're happy to sit around and wait for a year to get that target? That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, that puzzles me as well. That's why I think it's the breakdown somewhere between Levy, Paratici, and Conte. Somewhere along the lines, things don't tie up properly, do they? Everybody knows we need better defenders.
They've all got their own agenda. That's the problem.
But this is the thing. You can't sit here and say everybody did, because I've been on about for ages, and I was getting pelters for the last while when I was talking about it. Not everybody wanted centre-backs in here this summer. Most people were saying at the end of the season, "Oh, blimey, look at Dyer, isn't he world class?" You know, Sanchez, they were fluffing up his 7 clean sheets and everything else like that. So let's not sit here and pretend everybody wants a centre-backs, because they didn't. They're only saying it now.
All right, everybody knows what they're talking about then.
Look at
it's glaringly obvious. People are only saying it now because it's glaringly obvious because of the mistakes they're making. But not everybody was in that position all summer long or coming into the season.
Sure. I mean, if when the football's back, the first thing you look at is getting attacking players into, like, so it's more pleasing on the eye, isn't it? I get that. People that don't always think through everything, and there's going to be gut reactions to it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not really what we want, is it? It's what the club should be doing. Conte, Paratici, and Levy between them should be sorting this out, and it's not happening.
I agree.
I can't believe that is down to Conte, but I also can't believe that he's going to get any assurances that it's going to get fixed, because we know Levy will always stay well within those financial restrictions that's set on the club. He will not spend above and beyond. Joe Lewis's money will never get pumped into the club. He's not going to risk a damn penny. And we're constantly in this hope that we're going to go spend big. It's not happening. Bastoni, forget it. We're not paying 80, 90 million on a defender. We're going to be looking at the bargain players. Basuma, good price for Basuma. That's why we got him. If he was 60 million, would we have got him? I very much doubt it. Richarlison's a bit of a puzzle in that respect, because we spent big on him, yet a lot of people will say, "Oh, wait, he has had a disappointing season so far." I like Richarlison, but he's not performed very well so far. A lot of effort, though. I'll give him that. But he's that difficult piece that tries to offer a backup option for Kane at times. We've lacked that. We need somebody that can play both there and other oppositions. Richarlison's been struggling to play those other positions, so it's not really working out at the moment. I can see the logic in going for him, but not when we sit with money in the bank and we haven't actually bought in any of these defenders we needed.
But Kuva, the thing for me on this, right, is what I just do not get is Antonio Conte is an experienced manager, right? This is a man who doesn't suffer fools. Listen, I know, obviously, I hate the owners, right? And I don't really rate Paratici that much. But how in a meeting somewhere, before even the summer kicked off, has it not been, right, I don't care what we do this window, but the first 3 have to be 2 centre-backs and a wing-back so I can play my formation. I just don't understand it. When we're saying, okay, but we've addressed a backup in midfield, we've addressed a backup up front. Forget the backups. What about the first team? Why? I can't understand how Conte has not, in 9 signings, turned around to the board at any point and gone, get me centre-halves. Get me I don't want him. I want these centre-halves. Go and get them. I don't understand it. Sorry for me. I just don't understand. He's come out and said he's happy. I mean, look, let's Pete. Let me come to you on this. And by the way, guys, people in the chat, calm down, right? All these people in the mud and people who are exposed. It's just.
Oh, sorry. There's one in the chat I wanted to respond to, if that's all right. Toxic Headshot saying at Kuva, you don't know that. Come on, mate. Don't know which bit. Joe Lewis has actually said he will not risk his family's fortune on a football club. So that's definitely he's not dipping into his pockets.
Or
said
5
it
million
himself.
of it.
Daniel Levy has always said the club will generate its own funds. He's not dipping into his pocket. So which bit's wrong, mate? They've said it, literally.
I mean, look, Pete, let me come to you in. This whole centre-back issue it just feels for me, why is it never, we've all known it for years, why is it not addressed? Why were we told by everyone in the summer that Paratici draws up a short list and it's like 10 players, he'll go and negotiate with all of them and then they'll pick and choose who they get at the end. It kind of felt like we inquired about Bastoni. We were told we're not going to get him, so no bid went in. And then it was, okay, we'll go and get Longley on loan. At what point does Conte have to turn around and go, forget my feelings on Conte. At what point does Conte turn around and go, I'm off? If he's not getting what he wants, which is what we're saying he wants this, at what point does he go? And if he's bringing this full circle to what Coover and I have been saying for weeks, if he's not signing a contract because he's waiting to see what happens in the window if he gets backed, why am I getting so much stick for not wanting to believe in a so-called project? I don't understand it. Can't have it both ways.
I think the problem is the level of player Conte's used to working with is up here. The level of player we've got is down here. That's the problem. So to make that jump to what he wants, you're talking serious amounts of money, which we will not spend. It's that simple. As Kuba rightly said, the owners will not put their own money in. They won't borrow it either. They're happy to borrow it for a golf course or something, but they won't borrow, say, a couple $100 million to give the team a jump start. Which we'd all, if you ask the fans, they'd be like, yeah, that's fine. We don't mind that. But any property they'll do it for. But it's a too big a gap to do quickly. So all we keep doing is buying stopgaps all the time, which then we can't get rid of. And they end up staying around and outstaying their welcome. That's a problem with buying you lower down the list. I think you've got to stop at maybe 3. You've got to have 3 and go, I can't get him, we get him, then we have to get him. We have to get one of them, one of the 3. Not, well, if we don't get him, then we don't get anyone and we go out and get a freebie. That for me, that's not an option. There's got to be more flexibility in the choices. I mean, Bastoni's good, but he's not Van Dijk. Let's be honest. It's not as if like there's only one fucking good defender out there. There's plenty of more you could have got that are better than much better than what we've got. So
Pete,
it was a strange one.
If you look, Pete, over the last few years, right? If we take this window, the window before, players like Anderson going to Palace for what was it, 15 million or a free or whatever it was. Players like Guehi going to Palace, Botman to Newcastle, Akanji 15 million. So why if our defenders are so bad, I'm not saying they're not, why have we not been able to find anyone to upgrade? I fail to believe that between Conte and Paratici, they've not been able to sit down and go, there's a short list of 20 centre-backs.
No, that's what I mean. You can't
get it.
If you're not going to go from get the really, really top end, which to be honest, you're competing in a very limited market for that because you're swimming with the big sharks, then you've got to go in between. It can't be Eric Dyer and Bastoni and then there's nothing in between. There's plenty of other players in between who are much better than what we've got and will serve the club well. And then what you do, then you upgrade on them when the time comes, when the funds are available. It's an evolution. You don't go from A to B straight away. I don't get that. They didn't put no money in, they borrowed money, and it'll be come back to them anyway. But anyway, and that's always a problem. It's the same, but the wing back situation is another joke. You're like, how can you not do anything? And one player we have got in, we never see. So
yeah,
as for Conte and his project and all the rest of it, I don't have faith in the whole project bollocks. Conte won't either because he's already seen what the so-called best window in our club history looks like. Which is nothing. But he ain't putting pen to paper for that reason. He's waiting for to see out his contract, and then he'll go and he'll be off. I can't say I blame him, but that is where we are. That's the reality of it. Everyone knows it. He's not staying around. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens during the World Cup and they have that sit down meet and go, right, what are you doing? Because I'm not being funny. He can't say to Daniel Levy, I want 200 million worth of players. Daniel Levy says, well, I want you to sign a contract, and he goes, no. It ain't gonna work like that. Everyone's got to be flexible and go, right, yeah, I'll bend a bit, you bend a bit, and then we'll meet in the middle.
Conte's clearly given a hint that there's going to be some sort of set down during the World Cup period to sort out the January
you have to
transfer.
resolve it one way or the other. You can't go in.
Shouldn't it have been done by now? Shouldn't it have been done? Come this close to January when the transfer window opens. The conversation shouldn't be happening now about what's he going to get. The conversation should be ongoing. Like, surely. One thing, David, I want to bring you in here just quickly before I do. There are nearly 300 of you in the chat, only about 65 likes. Whether you agree with what we're saying or not, come on, guys. This is a lot of our time and effort going in here. A little like for free. I will just say, John Bamford, relax, man. You're very angry. You're very angry.
He's been non-stop, the geezer.
Yeah, right. And you keep saying things about Arteta. No one's mentioned Arteta's name. Just relax, my man. It's just a football opinion. David, this is a good point David Clark makes. He's made it a few times. So I've not been ignoring you, David. We keep talking about this project and it's going to take time, etc. And he's going to be backed in windows. But we're being told as well at the same time that Spurs can't bring in players until we get rid of more players. Isn't the worry that this is going to be an ongoing merry-go-round now, that we've still got a lot of players coming back to this football club in January or the summer? We've got a lot of players that are perceived as deadwood. So if we look at who's out on loan at the moment in terms of Rodon, Winks, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Reguilon, and then you've got the players that everyone is perceiving as deadwood already here. Doherty, Royal, Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, Sessegnon, Lucas. That's a lot of players that need to go. How, realistically, how quickly can this happen for this project to take place?
No chance.
Look, ideally, I would love Tottenham to just bring in players, look at the players we have and say, if you can't find yourself a club, go and train with the kids. We're not going to do that. Look, we all know they like Daniel Levy. He's an accountant. He's trained not to go against the numbers, so he's not going to do it. So if I'm being realistic on what he's going to do, I think, yeah, look, we have to get rid of a lot of these players. But this is where I come down to people overhyping some of the players we've had here before. You look at like the likes of like a Harry Winks, people are saying 20 million guaranteed. I mean, who wouldn't want Winks or Twinks at 20 million? You know what I mean? It's a bargain. It's kind of like what we've seen since he's gone out to Sampdoria. He's had 2 training sessions. He's been injured, and they said, "Nah, go home. We don't want you. Your shit." You know, the price we put on players as fans and expect the club to get rid of them. In the footballing world, it's different. We also have to understand that we have come out of a pandemic, and money across Europe has been tight. Not really in England, but across Europe has been tight. And it's probably affected other clubs coming in and maybe purchasing some of our players. But look, for me, that's on top of what Paratici's already got rid of. Sissoko, Gazzaniga, Dele Alli, ripping up Serge Aurier's contract. Then there's more there. Carter Vickers, Jack Clark, all these other teams
Steve
as well.
Bergwijn,
Stephen Bergwijn. And that's on top of what he's already got rid of. And this is what I was saying. If you take the magnitude of the state of the squad that was in when Paratici got here and then when Conte got here a bit later as well, there's so much to get rid of. It's going to take time. And that's why I drew a line in the sand. And we all have frustrations from the past 21 years, 22 years. But for me, at some stage, I just drew a line in the sand. Like, if we want to improve this, somewhere you've got to draw the line in the sand and say, okay, well, we're at where we're at now is it's going to take 3-4 windows to be able to get this, to be able to get a team on the pitch of a compatible quality. And for me, I think we still have another couple of windows to go. That's what Conte has said. And for me, I trust in this project. I do think our recruitment under Paratici, not all of it has been good, but I do think our recruitment under Don Paratici, I know you guys are going to roll your eyes, I don't mind, but Don Paratici, I think our recruitment underneath him has been better than what it was under Steve Hitchen. And I just think another couple of windows, hopefully we'll see an improvement. I could be completely wrong. But that's where I see it.
Let me question that then, David. Let me just retort to that. My worry is this. I'm being told now, not by you, because obviously I knew what you were saying, because you're somebody with your own channel and a voice and I can hear what you're saying, but by so many people that came into my chat and every other chat when I was on with Henry and Tottenham Away and all these channels that I was on, it was constantly, this has been a great window. This has been a great window. We've addressed this, we've addressed that, we've addressed this, we've addressed that. Now, when we fail to beat anybody who's not in the bottom half of the table, it's, we didn't really have a very good window, blah, 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 blah.
No, I still think we had a good window. I still think we had a decent window. Like, we made ground into repairing bits of the squad. Like we brought seven players in here. We're making ground, but we're like, this is my point. We're never going to get all done in one window unless you're going to have the problems that Nottingham Forest are experienced. Yes, they've picked up in recent weeks, but they're still in the relegation zone and stuff like that. And for me, I just look. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to see it out. Hopefully, give
out of them 7 players, what one's made a difference?
Right.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, I've been completely underwhelmed with Richarlison. I've just been completely underwhelmed. I think Langley's made a difference. I like Langley.
I think with Charlison, everyone, we've already seen him. We knew what he was. He definitely weren't 60 million, and he weren't going to rip the world alight and come into our team. He's a workaholic, and he's someone like headish, like run around his nuts off. But in terms of actual quality, it's not there. It's never has been there, and that's been shown. And that's been shown when he's played. And I don't doubt the lad's heart. I mean, you can tell his heart, bless him. Yeah, but what we needed, it was quality, and all we do is buy more of what we've already got. We just paid more for it this time. Like, I mean, Basuma aside, we saw quality, and for some reason we've managed to bring that down to the rest of the level, the rest of the squad. But Paratici's brought in players that none of them have made only 2 have made a difference in all the players he's bought. Emerson Royal, well, we'll just not go there. How he looks at 10 right backs and picks him, I have no idea. Papa Matisar can't even get anywhere near. Is even lad in the ground? I don't know, because you can never see him. And we, Brian Hill. Now I think Hill is deserving of a chance, but when you look at what value he brings to the team at the moment, is none. Yet we paid 25 million, and Eric Lamela. Oh, it's 27 million. So we paid money for him, and what is the point? So he's bled he's got out of Sissoko and all that, but he's then backfilled it with sort of, if you're looking at it now, more crap. And Emerson is unforgivable.
I disagree slightly. I think Langley has come in. I think he's improved.
But we paid for him. We paid for him. I'm on about players we paid for. We've laid down money for. He's got 3 decent ones. So, or he got Kulusevski and Bentancur, yeah, got them fairly cheap, but he knew them. Romero, he's done well, yeah, but that money was apparently spent in one window, then it was moved to another window.
Still paid for him.
Yeah, but it was all like, no, we paid him in that window, then the money was spent in this window.
Try before you buy.
Yeah, but it was spent twice. Yeah, when fans were saying about the good window we had before that. Basuma was a good deal. Richarlison, not a good deal. Pape Matisar, not a good deal. Brian Hill, not a good deal. Emerson, well, let's not even go there. Who else have we bought? Doji, we don't know nothing about him yet. It's the same old buy him.
But when you look at when he's come in and the recruitment we've made, you look at the league positions, it's night and day, 8th, 9th to 4th in the Premier League. So the recruitment has made a difference.
Yeah, a couple of them have made a difference. I mean, the point where I was going with this was, I want to listen. As I said, I'm happy. I want to be wrong. If I'm sitting here, I'll sit here right now and say it. If I'm sitting here in a year's time and Conte's won something or the football's great, I'm a grown up. I can sit here and go, you know what, I was wrong. Cool, got no problem with that. No one is right about every one of their opinions. No one, right? But my problem is this: I'm told give the man 3 or 4 more windows, but I'm looking at the main window he's had so far, and nothing really coming in made a difference. So why am I now to believe that the next window and the window after that, we're going to get the targets he wants, in the same breath being told that these are the only 2 centre-backs he wants and we want to wait a year? It doesn't all, for me, guys, sorry, it just doesn't add up. And I've seen this at Spurs. I want to be wrong. I want Levy and Enoch to back him, right? If he's here, he's here. If I like his football or not, it don't matter. Who am I? Just someone sitting in a room talking on the internet, right? Doesn't matter what I want. But I just want to see him backed. If he's here, back him, give him the players. Doesn't matter if I like his style, he'll be successful. My point is, as Kuva alluded to earlier, is he going to be backed? We've seen no evidence of him being backed thus far. So why am I jumping on board with this? We're going to give him time. He's here. He's a winner.
I'll even expand on it. It's you go back to. I always like to go back to prime Pochettino years, because why wouldn't I? It was great. But you look at when we're challenging for league titles, a couple of seasons running, we're right up there, playing great stuff, amassing loads of points. And then you look at what we've actually invested in at the time. You look at the bench on some of those things. We had a great first 11, and you'd look at the bench and it would be Vaughan, Dyer, Davies, Bentaleb, Mason, Winks, and Jai, and Kodu. What if we'd just gone that extra mile, brought a couple of game changers in there, sat on the bench there? We could have been talking about a league title there. But it's not important to win the league title for ENIC. All that matters is the top 4 and get that revenue stream coming in. That's all they're bothered about. Why spend an extra 200 million on players, say, for just to get that extra 6.5 million in prize money for finishing top of the division? They won't do it. It's a business. That's all it is. They got no passion for it. They don't bother about titles.
Here's the thing, though. They've no excuse. They've no excuse this time because under Pochettino, right, the board will say, well, look, the stadium, it's not going to build itself, this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. But now that they've come out the back of that, there's no excuse this time. They don't have the training ground, the stadium, and that as an excuse. This time, they don't have it.
But they didn't have it in the
They'll
summer.
always find an excuse, though, won't they? They'll just pump out some PR stunt and,
But, lads, they didn't have that excuse this summer. Do you remember at the beginning of the window, we turned around and they were talking about 150 million being pumped in, plus Champions League revenue, plus player sale money. And we all said, didn't we? We're top 4. We've got Champions League. You've got the manager. You've got the director of football who knows the manager. Stadium's done. Been there for years. Training ground's done. There was no excuse. But then we get to the end of the window and it's like, we haven't addressed a single position that was really, really important. Because if you look at our best 11, when they're all starting, it's still, other than Perisic, who out of the 7 he bought in the summer?
Look, I think Perisic is a good signing. Odoji is going to be a quality signing. He's ripping it up in Serie A. That was an opportunity. The opportunity came up. I don't mind them taking that. Look, Spence, it's where I do disagree with Conte slightly. I would like to see the kid given a chance. Surely unless he's putting balls in the training pitch all the way to Croydon, I mean, he can't be that bad.
Emerson Royal does that in the match.
Yeah, I know.
He done it at Bournemouth. It landed back over here.
But look, I think Lenglet coming in, look, whether we didn't buy him, but he's doing a job, he's doing decent. I think Basuma is starting to find his feet. But we also can't overlook that not every single player is also going to come here and hit the ground running. Sometimes it will take them a while, and you're starting to see the best of Basuma now. I think Fraser Forrest was good the other night. In fact, I'd actually give him a run in the team over Hugo Lloris, because I just think even some of the goals that Leeds scored, I think maybe Hugo Lloris, if Fraser Forrest was in, he probably would have saved him. I thought he'd done well against Forrest. So I think, look, Richarlison, if we didn't sign him this summer, we wouldn't have any options. I know he's been out injured for a while, but we've needed him. We've relied on him. I don't think our window has been as bad as we're making it out to be, but I do think it was stepping stones on a block to try and get some sort of squad together, give Conte a bit more numbers to use rather than the bare 11 that he was using at the back end of last season. And then this is what I was saying to Kuva the other day. For me, this summer is where I expect them to start sprinkling the team with some star quality. Like we have to remember, our squad was in a place where we had the French mafia, the Welsh mafia, all the cliques, people taking the piss out of this football club, didn't care what they were producing on the pitch and taking the piss off the pitch. And all that had to go. What we do have now is a squad of solid professionals who work hard every single day. And when you bring in talent, usually, especially when it's attacking talent, they're a bit tapped up here. That's why they have the vision and the creativity they do. And when you bringing them in, like an Ndombele, you have to have a lot of good, solid professionals in around them. Like you listen to Sir Alex Ferguson, he'll say, I have no problem bringing in a guy with a screw loose, a good creative player. But you have to have the bulk of your squad as good, solid professionals around that. We haven't had that over the last while. So we've had our recruitment and we got into such a mess. We've had to completely draw a line in the sand and start to rebuild it from scratch.
Do you really believe that, Dave, that they will sprinkle it with stardust? Do you really, hand on your heart? Because let's be honest, no matter where we finish, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 7th, 8th, the transfer policy is exactly the same. It always has, always will be. Same level of player coming in, 9 times out of 10. There's never really a we supposed to be this window, wasn't it? It was going to be got a Champions League,
I
got
never
the stadium,
expected it to be this window.
we got the manager.
Why?
I'm not saying
Why?
5 or 6 world class players, but at least one. At least
Why
one
not this
top,
window,
top,
David?
top.
Why did we not expect
This
it
was
in
the
this
time
window?
to do it, to do something big, and we went. We did what we always do. Now I understand money didn't come in from sales because the European football economy is crap. I get that 100%. Hence why all the loans, trying to wait for it to recover. But you think all the money that this club generates and the so-called investment that they were going to put in, and that's the best they can do. That's the worry for me, is where's the stardust coming from? That's the best you can do with everything else that's come in the club. But basically, you're printing money in that stadium for a whole year, and that's the best you can do. Then that's a worry.
Let's be honest.
And we're still very poor.
Where we are in the league, let me, Kuv, you haven't talked to a while. Let me bring you in.
I just want to add something on the star talent, because you did say to me, do you believe it will happen? Look, for me, I think the club have tried in the past big layouts on like the Celso and Ndombele and stuff like that. It just didn't work, and we didn't have the players in around.
They're punts. That's not proven.
But that's still poor recruitment. That's still poor recruitment.
Yeah, it's
not doing the homework on them, because everyone else did it and went, no, forget that.
But like now going forward, next summer, hopefully that we've brought in, like next summer, we shouldn't have as many positions. If you do a bit in January, you shouldn't have as many positions you need filled next summer. So then for me, you can start bringing in the quality signings again. I think, look, I think they tried with Richarlison. They overpaid for Richarlison. But look, I do think next summer, I think you will see an up level of recruitment, because rather than needing 6, 7, 8 players, you only need a couple, so therefore you can spend bigger money on them players coming in here.
Yeah, listen, I think, look, we revisit this, yeah? As I said, forget what I think about Conte, whatever. We'll revisit this in the next summer window. But the point is, David, you must have had it in your chat as well, all over the summer. Fans telling me this window was sublime. It was brilliant. This is an 8 or 9 out of 10 window. And I look at it and I think the reason we are where we are is still nothing to do with anything we did in the window. The reason we are where we are is still Kane's goals, who's been here forever. It's Kulu's magic. He was here from January. Yeah, it's not Bentancur as well, Højbjerg. It's nothing to do with the new recruits. For me, I just can't understand how a team that has been crying out for centre backs.
I think you're disregarding. Perisic has 8 assists this season. Some of the games where Basuma's come off the bench, we wouldn't have got the points without them. Lenglet stepping in at the back wouldn't have got some points without him either. So I think you're overlooking that some of them have played their part.
Yeah, I mean, look, Perisic has got a few assists. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm disappointed when I watch him. I feel like he's got a lovely cross. We know that. He's got that quality in his feet, but his all-round play, his defensive ability,
even Conte said he's not the player he remembers.
It looks like a 33-year-old. Let's be honest. Yeah. Poor fuck 33.
Yeah. There's quality there, but there's doubts about legs now, isn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, look, it's very interesting. Look, 'cause I've got a lot of Chelsea mates, and I know that's bad, but I do. I've got a lot of friends who support Chelsea, and they'll all say, look, people talk about Conte when he was at Chelsea for the year he won the league, but they said other than that.
I just want to say it to Shane. He won the Premier League. I mean, you can't call it a failure when someone lifts the Premier League. Let's be honest. That's a nonsense comment. He won the Premier League. I'll call it a failure. It's nonsense. You would kill. As Spurs fans, we're killing for the Premier League, so I don't want to hear that it's nonsense when he won the Premier League. It wasn't a failure at Chelsea. It's a joke.
I mean, look, for me, what I find interesting is, when we do these shows and people in the chat, and they're very quick to have a go at you and have a pop that we're willing to put our opinion.
No problem. People having a pop. Just don't. Just be honest with it. Like, don't just because you look. If you have a problem with Conte, fair enough. But just don't call his time at Chelsea a failure when he won a Premier League. You can't become a failure when you lift the Premier League trophy. It's nonsense. No. It's literally the definition of being successful is lifting a trophy. So.
I think that's the crux of a lot of the argument as well. We know Conte is a good manager. We know he will win things when he's provided with the tools. But that's not the situation here for a lot of us. It's we don't see that happening.
Kuva, I've said this all along, right? If you were sitting here right now telling me that whether or not I like his style of football is irrelevant, right? It doesn't matter. I'm a nobody. But if you're telling me I have to watch that style of football and it will get slightly better and we will win trophies if he's given his players. Cool. All right. How do we now know moving forward who are his players? Because he's had 9, and so far I'm hearing that the summer window, I'm not from everyone, but so many people are now telling me, well, he wasn't backed. He hasn't had his players in. So what is his players, Kuvo? Who are his players? How do we know when they come through the door if they're his?
Well, the only way we're going to know is if he says so, really, isn't it? I mean, if they come straight in and he's putting them immediately in the team, and it's like, yep, that's exactly what I'm looking for. They know the sort of system I want to play. They know what I want from them. It's going to basically have to be players that have played under him, isn't it? That's the only way to guarantee it. So that's we start looking at some of these names and speculating. Played under Conte before, perhaps they want to bring him in here. That's why Perisic is here. Clearly, that's somebody Conte's worked with before. So Paratici maybe just going on the theory, if he's been a Conte player before, he surely wants him now. Perhaps that's the way forward.
He was free. If we had to pay 200 million for him, I guarantee we wouldn't have bought him because Levy would never sanction that.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
I agree.
Never in a million years.
I mean, look, first of all, thank you. There are 315 of you in the chat, so thank you for everyone for spending your Sunday evening with us. And, I'm seeing lots of good chat going on. Just remember, right, that, there is a way, if you disagree with someone, there is a way to do it without saying something's farcical or calling people idiots or they don't deserve. Just have the chat. I mean, guys, let me...
one more thing on the transfer windows. When people were getting carried away with it, saying I actually heard somebody saying it's the best transfer window we've had in our lifetimes.
I remember that.
I thought, Jesus Christ. I remember in one window getting Lloris, Vertonghen, and Dembele. And he's saying this window's better?
I think what a lot of the comments were around the transfer windows, I think people say, yeah, we started well, but then come the weeks leading into the transfer deadline day, I think a lot of people maybe felt left down because it was like, why would you make such a start and not add that 1 or 2 extra that could really become a massive help this season?
Yeah.
I agree. We all thought that. When it started, we all thought, okay, maybe times are changing. I was one of them. Right. I didn't say it publicly, but I thought, you know what? Okay, you Forster was a free. We forget that. Then Perisic comes in free. You thought, okay. Then Basuma comes at 25 million. You thought, okay, here we go. And then, and as you say, after that, it just went. Flat
I got annoyed with myself after a week or so, thinking it suddenly stopped, hasn't it? I've fallen for this again. And then I started changing my attitude to it and saying, this is a crap window unless we do more. And we just didn't, did we?
Just quickly. First of all, John, you put this in 3 times. I'm fully aware who signed Kulu and Bentancur. I don't think anyone's argued that. Will, if this is, I don't know, Will, is this you? I never know if something's a real account or a fake account. When we're saying the problem is you don't have hope, not Conte, I've stated many times, cool, all right, let's get a new contract sorted for Conte. That will tell me that he's been given the assurances he's going to be backed. And then it's all on him, right? That's what I'm saying. At the moment, I'm sitting here with a manager that is not going to be here past June, right? So let him tell us that the board are going to back him by committing. At the moment, all I'm hearing coming out of the club, whenever he's asked or the club, it's, oh, well, it's some sort of comment about, if something aligns and if we're in the right direction. Come on, if you're going in the right direction. There's no way they've not had these conversations. There's no way. He knows, right? So listen, if Conte starts to believe and he ties himself up for a free 4-year contract, cool. I'll jump on board with it. I'll say, yeah, shouldn't have called him out. There we go. What you got. But what I do need to see, and David, I'll bring you in here.
Yes, sorry, just add into that. That for me is the biggest problem of the lot. The fact that Conte isn't signing the long-term contract, the fact that we're not seeing these big spending transfer windows to show our intent. It's all a case of I don't see where the direction is at the moment. It feels like we're treading water and we're hoping for the best. I don't see any set plans going forward here. We're not competing with the big guns when it comes to our transfer windows. I do not believe in the direction we're going. I don't see the direction we're going. It's just chipping away at maintaining where we are.
Do you know? But this is the thing, guys. For me, as I've said, rather than and David, to your point, that there's so much that needed to be done at the club that we knew it wasn't all going to happen in one window. But what I don't understand is what we did in the window was very much it was backups. It was for me again, only for me, guys. I don't speak on behalf of anyone else other than myself. If we had gone out and just brought in 3 players in the window, and it was a top centre half, a top right wing back, 2 top centre halves and a top right wing back, I can turn around and go, I get it. I see what we're doing here. Yeah, we've done that. Next window, you're then going to go and add your left wing back. You're then going to go and add your playmaker. But I didn't see any of that from the window, which is the worry for me. I didn't see one player come into this club and go, that is a player we absolutely needed and transforms us. Or that is
to be fair, I was got close to that about Basuma. I thought he was a really good signing at the time.
Maybe so, but clearly Conte doesn't feel that way about Basuma because when he picks his 3-4-3, Basuma's not the man in there.
But
So
we also can't overlook the fact that when he took over Chelsea, he dropped Fabregas for a few months until he could get up to what he needed from that midfielder. When he brought Emerson to Inter Milan, he didn't start. In fact, Spurs fans were saying, could we loan him back in January? Centre midfield is an important position in the Conte system, and he's not going to play players if they're not up to speed with his tactics. So we can't really... Like we also have to we can sit here and talk about Basuma and whatever else, but we also have to take into account his previous patterns at clubs with players in that position.
Mm-hmm. Dave, I agree, but then I go back to the scouting part. I go back to, is Basuma then the number one target he wanted if he knows it's a player that's coming in and he's not going to hit the ground running? Because other clubs, like if you look at, and people are going to say we're above Man United, it's not about where we are in the league, from the journey they're going on. Literally, Ten Hag's gone in there, picked up an absolute mess, a mess of a football club, beyond anything I've seen from Man United since I've been alive, right? Straight away, Martinez comes in, bang, helps the defence, straight in day one. Anthony, bang, straight in. Ericsson, Casemiro, these players didn't come in, spend three months on the bench, bit part. That, for me, tells me he wanted those players. That's what I personally, as a fan, I need to see now. And this is what my next question was going to be to you, David. In this January window, if one of the signings, let's say we sign 2 players, I don't know how we're going to get. If one of those 2 signings is not a centre back, what's the excuse going to then be moving forward if we don't address the main issue again?
Again, if you don't give him a centre back, it's not on him. He can only go to the board and other people up there that's in charge of recruitment and say, this is what I'm looking for. It's up to them to get it for him. Like, he's not the one negotiating transfer fees, this, that, and the other. You know, he's not the one that makes the final decision and say, yeah or no, you can't have that. All he can do is recommend what players he wants. After that, it's on people above him.
So he doesn't have the influence then. So it's the influence.
Well, not really. If you listen to a lot of managers who do podcasts and speak about the modern game and stuff nowadays, they'll all say, most of them, all they do is just they put the players to the people in charge of the transfer windows, and they basically get told what they can and can't have.
Yeah, but you'd have thought with him, with Paratici being there, who's them two have history, that it would have been different. And it seems like he has no influence whatsoever on what goes in and comes out of this.
I think he has some influence. I think Kulu and Bentancur were probably his signings from the Italian league.
Yeah, but and look how they arrived. I'm not discrediting the signings, but on the last knock-ins of the window, they came through the door. Just like they had to do something.
But that's clever business. It wasn't. They had Amrabat and they were heavily linked with Traore that window, and they decided they'd wait for Juve to bring in their players, knowing that Kulu and Bentancur would be surplus to requirements and bring them in here. That's good recruitment. That's smart recruitment.
It was debatable if that happened that way, but say it did, then. But
I think it's more debatable the other way. I think it's a huge gamble to take a risk that Juve would bring in players hoping that these guys would become surplus rather than getting players lined up and then obviously getting told that Juve are going to do business, so just wait a minute, and then knowing them players were surplus to requirements. I think it's smart business.
No, that's the case. Fair enough, but we
And they both
we
come in and
won't
hit the
know.
ground
But
running. And that's
the problem with that is that we've behaved the same way every other window.
Exactly.
It's always the last minute, no matter what window it is,
Always.
what the player. So that's why you think, okay, it was just business as usual. Now, if that did happen,
But it wasn't last minute this summer. It wasn't last minute.
It was first minute, and then that was the end of it. Yeah, it was sort of nothing in between.
And still not the players that were needed.
Yeah, and still didn't get anywhere. But what I'm saying is, if that was the case, then fair enough. That I agree. If they're the ones you want, then and you know they're going to be definitely available, then do. Then and if you have to wait, you have to wait till the end of the window. Fine. But the problem with that, as I said, was that was like every other Spurs window. So if that was a break from the norm, fair enough. But we won't know, and we'll never know. We can only assume, based on what we hear from here and everywhere. The problem is that we never. I can't see January happening. I can't see anything happening, if I'm honest, because there has to be some committal on both sides. And if he ain't going to sign no contract, he don't sign no contract, he ain't getting no money. And the only ones that suffer is the team and us, because it would just draw out to his conclusion. And we've wasted a whole window. It's like with the Harry Redknapp, when Levy thought he was going to go for England, he didn't give him nothing. He got the free Sahar Nelson from a real position of strength. And it was a real disaster, really. The season just petered out, didn't he? And then he ended up getting sacked. So for me, we have to do something now. We have to do something now. Something has to be done now.
Is this a real danger then, that if there is going to be kind of like this Mexican standoff in January as to, Levy doesn't want to give Conte money because he hasn't signed yet. Conte doesn't want to sign because he wants to see what's going to be bought, and then we literally get to the end of the transfer window and it's like, all right, we might have bought in Adama Traore because he's like 4 million or something. I mean,
well, you would be hoping this 6 weeks would get a lot sorted out in terms of what recruitment they're trying to get done, and hopefully be able to get it done. So as soon as January 1st comes in, your players are in, whatever else. It's obviously hopefully sort out Conte's contract situation, and if you can, by the time Harry Kane gets back from the World Cup, try and sort that one out too. Like this 6 weeks, there's got to be a lot of groundwork done, and a lot of work done. I hope they do the work. I hope they're not all off on holidays, pissing about, enjoying the World Cup like us fans are. I do hope they're in there doing the work and in there identifying targets that can come in here and help us push forward this second half of the season.
Dave, what if that conversation happens and Conte says, after I'm leaving at the end of my contract? Then, in your opinion, what does the club do? Say they had that conversation tomorrow, right? When my contract's up, I'm going. Where do we go from there?
Yeah, look, I'll be honest. I've said this a number of times. I think if Conte goes, it's only going to get worse. When you see at this club, we had someone like Jose Mourinho. Everyone was saying sack him, getting Nagelsmann, like they had some sort of special connection with his agent. We ended up with Nuno. And after Conte, you're going to end up with someone of a similar stature like Nuno back in here. And it's kind of like, this is why I want to for me, I do think it is up to Daniel Levy to be able to persuade Conte to be able to sign that new contract. Whether that means he commits the funds in January on the hope that between January and the summer he does commit. We can't forget we do have a year extension on his contract as well. But at the same time, if I'm being honest, I know this isn't going to be a popular opinion.
Say it anyway, David. Say it anyway.
I believe me. You know I will. If I was a businessman, I wouldn't put that money there if he's not going to commit to me. So it's like you said, it's that Mexican standoff. But when you look at, and this is why I think Daniel Levy has to give Conte what he wants to be able to get him to sign a new contract, is because he got lucky we got Conte in here, by the way. If we didn't get Conte in here, the fans would still be going absolutely mad at him. But the fact that we got Conte in here kind of calmed it down a little and took a bit of attention off the owners. And I think once he goes, people are just going to look at the team. They're going to say, shit, back line, doesn't matter what manager comes in here. And everything is going to be directed at them. Absolutely everybody.
But that depends. That depends, because he can play his ace in the hole, which will be Pochettino. And then all the fans go, oh, they'll be off. That's his get out of jail free card. Do you know what I mean? So he's got that one ready.
I don't get either. I'm a massive Pochettino fan, but I don't want him back at the moment.
It's never good the second time round. It's like going back to an ex. It's never as good.
Cougar, you do. Do you know how I know you do? because all day, every day, Greg Spur is in my YouTube chat telling me
that
wants Pochettino back. And I'm telling him he's never said that to me. Guys, just want to do a few super chats and then I want to come back to that because that's a really good point about what happens to the club, right? I mean, first of all, Azad Hamid, thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. By the way, guys, there is now channel membership available. If you want to be a channel member, don't have to, but if you want to, it's there. Not forcing anyone to do anything. Azad has said, I thought Conte was brought in to expose the board. Now, it's one of those things. Thank you so much for that, Azad. It's one of those things that I believe it's what we were saying as fans. Oh, if anyone's going to expose them, it's going to be Conte. It doesn't necessarily mean he can.
But surely you hire a manager to manage a football club, not just to come in and expose the board. I mean, if that's what you were expecting from the very off, no wonder why you're disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, we learned our lesson, or some of us did, from Jose, because we all thought the same as Jose, right? Jose's going to expose this board, blah, 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 blah. Just quickly before we go back to that chat, Francis, great picture, by the way. Thank you so much for the super chat, and we're going to go on to this in a minute. It says, it is crazy that Arsenal are real title challengers after we just picked them to the Champions League last year. I cannot believe we are not the one in that position. Now, I want to come back to this because this is a huge point for me when Conte is getting so much, not say let off, we're not in a bad position, but when the fact that we're so far away from Arsenal, having been above them, tells me how bad our window was. I just want to come back to this, guys, this whole Mexican standoff thing. The one thing I agree with you, David, I do agree with you, but the one thing I don't agree with is I don't think the fans, if Conte did, I don't think the fans have got it in them to go at the owners, because we've been here and seen it before. I talked the other day about the hat trick of rabbits, right? The first was, right, I need to sack Poch. Don't worry, I'm going to go and get one of the best managers that's ever lived. Whether people like him or not, his CV is his CV.
Do you know why we got him though? Because we couldn't keep goals out under Poch in that season where he got sacked. So they probably said, "Oh, I know, we'll back Dyer, Sanchez, and that. We believe they're good enough, so we're bringing the best defensive manager in world football to be able to get a tune out of him." And he only done it until October, November.
Listen, I agree, but that's the thing. That was Rabbit 1. Rabbit 2 was, I've messed up with Nuno. I've got to pull something out my arse. Right, it's going to be Antonio Conte. Rabbit 3, listen, this is before everyone in the chat. I don't want him back. Rabbit 3, if Conte was to leave because he's been told he's not being backed, is going to be Pochettino. And whether we like it or not, there are so much of this fan base that would lose their mind at Poch coming home. And that will stop any of the vitriol going to the owners.
If it's not Poch, I agree with you. Actually, when you say that, I agree with you. I think if it is Poch, there would be. Look, we're so nostalgic. That's why people still love Dyer, Sanchez, and stuff, because it reminds them of them years. Not because they're great players. It reminds them of them years. I do. Look, I agree. I think if Poch comes in, a lot of fans will lose their mind and probably won't bring attention. But if we get someone underwhelming after Conte, do you think then that everybody would have just had enough and said, look, now's time. Just go at them, get them gone at all costs. I think that will happen.
I don't think it will, Dave, because we've seen it before. We've had the Super League, we've had all the other ticket prices, all the other stuff. And every time there's a process, you could fit it in a phone box. I mean, that's how many go. And half of them have already been in the club shop first, with their bags, all full of, they spent 200 quid in the shop. There's no appetite. You saw the whole Super League. You saw what every other fans did. You saw what Arsenal did. Yeah, we would take the piss out of them, but they were fucking on the stand. They were outside. They were running around the gaff. There was 2,000, 3,000 of them, flares, all that made a real visual impact. You look at Man United. They actually ran in the ground and started running around the gaff. If that happened to us, Levy would open the concourse so they'd spend money while they're in there. Yeah, I mean, quick, get the drinks out. Yeah, open the bar all day long.
Do you want a nice little bit of trivia there from what you just said? Do you know the world record for amount of people that can fit in a phone box?
Go on.
22.
Fucking hell. What are they, midgets?
Next, I was looking up. I stumbled on that fact looking up questions for show I do with Bobby Kay on Sunday evenings and doing silly
But
questions.
so we've seen all that, but there's no appetite amongst our fans for that kind of protest, because the fans think we owe Levy something because of the stadium. He built the stadium. What about the stadium? The stadium, that's all we hear about is the stadium. So we can't say anything because we got a new stadium, even though it's bricks and mortar at the end of the day. Levy never built it. He never paid for it. What's the obsession? But going back to the whole standoff thing, I said it before. I say, for me, if he ain't gonna, that conversation needs to happen before January. If he don't sign, then we have to say goodbye and then start our next process and get it done. Because there is no point in wasting a whole window and a whole 6 months of the season with a manager that's going to be gone. The players will know, he will know, and it will just peter out because no one's going to be bothered. Who's going to be motivated? He certainly ain't, because he's like, I'll be gone. I don't give a shit. It'll rub off on the players, and it just season will just be a shocker. So just do it now and go, right, if you're not going to stay, then we have to say goodbye. Thank you very much. And then we move on.
I mean, guys, look, this is why we love football, right?
The club should always come first.
It's all opinions. It's all opinions, right? And look, I tell you what, I've heard all day today is, your channel's the worst channel. And I keep saying to people, well, my channel's only the worst channel because you might disagree with my opinion, right? Do you know what I mean? The best channels will be the opinion that you agree with. But look, when I said I don't like Conte's style, and I said the other day that I wanted him out, it's not like a great big thing for me that I'm going to go every day. I'm going to go Conte out. I just find his football really boring. But what I want to move on to, guys, is this. That point that was made earlier is an interesting one, right? From Francis. Right. Let's put it this way. We finished a point above Arsenal last year, right? A point above them. This was an Arsenal team that had no forwards, really, right? Let's remember this. I think they ended the season with Eddie Nketiah as their striker, right? So we finished above Arsenal. Every Spurs fan in my chat all summer, we've got a better squad than them. They're in the rear view mirror. Oh, we've had a much better transfer window than them. Now, all of a sudden, guys, that Arsenal are 8 points clear with a game in hand, so they could be 11 points clear, right? But Arteta's been there 3 years and had 400 million. But that's not what everyone was saying in the summer. In the summer, we had better players. Ben White's crap. Saliba's crap. Zinchenko's washed up. Yeah, Jesus isn't a goal scorer. Odegaard, he's not really very good. Xhaka's crap. Partey's crap, right? So how have they literally gone from 1 point difference to that in one window?
For me, easy. You look at last season, we wrote off what they were actually doing far too cheaply.
The warning signs were there, weren't it? The warning signs were there.
Exactly. Even in the game where we dominated them at home, you look at the first 20 minutes, they were actually outplaying us for that period.
Yeah.
It's only the fact that they lacked the experience of that sort of hostile atmosphere. A little bit. Some of these players were still young. They've had that season of experience last season. They've added quality in key positions, and that is the biggest reason. They've added good forward. I think Jesus is a fantastic signing for him. He just adds to their attack all round. His all-round game's absolutely great. Does for them what Kane does for us when he's playing well. Slightly different, but same idea. Zinchenko, he's come from City. He knows how to play football. Straight into the team. Saliba comes back off loan. Straight into the team, improving that first 11, bringing the best out of players that he did have already. Finding a reason of use for the likes of Xhaka, who I can't believe I'm saying it, is having a blinding season.
Yeah.
They've done everything right. They were patient with it, and now they've got the final pieces in that jigsaw. They've now got quality. They've got the experience now, and they've got a resolve that they were lacking last season. Now, when the pressure's on, they're finding ways to win these matches they were losing last season. Mm-hmm. They're up there for a reason. This isn't a fluke. They're up there. People say they're going to fall away so easily.
Yeah, remember they said that about Leicester.
Exactly. One thing Leicester had in common with Arsenal so far is they weren't getting the big injury crisis. I think that's the only thing that's going to derail them at the moment.
But this is the thing for me, guys. It's that, it was 1 point And this was a team last year. We finished above them with 1 point when we had Kane, Son, and Kulusevski flying, all scoring lots of goals. This was an Arsenal team that weren't scoring goals. They've added. Saliba was already their player, but they've done exactly what we were talking about, which we haven't done, right? Which was, what do we need? Okay, that's centre half on loan, straight back. Right, we need a left wing back, straight in. Right, we need a forward, straight in. But we belittled them. Everyone. Even now, what I'm hearing, they're lucky. They've had an easy run. I want to know, why are they so much better than us over a summer? I'm not saying
they can put out their first 11 nearly every single week. We haven't been able to do that. Look, me personally, call me crazy if you want, I don't think they're going to stay there. I think when you look at Arsenal's history, how many times have they been top of the league? Over the winter period and stuff, and they've always fallen off, and they've fallen off with much better teams and much more experienced players under Arsene Wenger. I believe they're obviously playing with a bit of confidence right now, but they've been lucky with injuries. They're not going to get that luck after World Cup. They won't stay there. I think that's why.
But I've heard that for the first 15 games of the season. I've heard for the first 15 games of the season that it's not going to. They've won 13, lost 1, and drawn 1.
Look, they won't stay there. I heard last season that Tottenham weren't going to get top 4. We got there.
Just about. Only because they surrendered it.
We got there.
They give it to us. We didn't go and take it.
I agree with that.
They give it to us. That's why we didn't take heed of the warnings that were there last season. And then we saw it in pre-season, it all come together. But I think for this season, I think they've got the added advantage. Playing the Europa League has worked well for them because they don't have to play their first players. So they can rest them in the week. And they use that to come through even more of their younger players. And they use that as a platform for them. We never did. But Odegaard's not going to the World Cup. A few other players ain't going to the World Cup. They're just as at risk of injuries. I think we're more susceptible, really, because a lot of we rely on Kane at the moment to get us out of jail a lot. And he is injury prone and he's well overdue an injury. And a season like he's running around now, he hasn't been rested, has he? He's played every game in the Champions League and in the league. I think he's come off a couple of times, and he's played now he played at Forest, so he's not getting a breather. And once he's gone, we're fucked because no one else is pulling up any trees for us. I mean,
this is the thing. Like when we're saying, agreed. Like they have had injuries. They have.
Not as long as we've had them.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, listen. That's football.
If they were missing Jesus like we were missing Kulu, they wouldn't be sitting top of the league right now.
Yeah, but that's ifs, buts, and maybes, right? At the end of the day, it's all. Every time I hear Spurs fans talking about Arsenal, we still, even now, even how well they're doing, and I'm not saying they're going to win the league. I'll still back City. They've got the know-how.
They won't win the league, but
they'll finish hard enough. The fact is, again, it was, Spurs fans all summer, poor recruitment from Arsenal. We've got better squad. Even now, I've seen it in the chat earlier. I'm hearing, none of their players get into our 11. Saka's not as good as so-and-so, and Martinelli's not as good as so-and-so, and Kane and Xhaka and blah, blah, blah. But they keep winning games whilst actually playing football. And
beating big teams.
And they're winning the big games as well. And I just wondered, add to that, I was told the reason we will definitely finish above them this year. Everyone said it in the summer. Everyone said this. The reason they will finish above us and we will finish above them is we've got a better squad and we've got a better manager. Now all of a sudden that we're nowhere near them. Let's be really honest. 8 points is a big gap, and they've got a game in hand.
Right?
Do you know what? They pumped us.
They've also been given the benefit of some VAR decisions, though, as well this season.
You can't go down that road, mate.
They have. There's been decisions that they've got that we haven't got. There's decisions that weren't given that were given in our games. Like that comes into it.
That's okay. So the VAR decision we got to not disallow the goal for Chelsea.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cucurella's hair being pulled, no free kick, decisions like that. Listen, I can't
go down. The one on Saturday, where 2 players ran into the keeper.
Which one? Okay, but then but that's not a free kick, because if the one on Hugo Lloris against Newcastle isn't a free kick where Callum Wilson ran into our keeper,
That was never a free kick.
But that's why I
That was
don't use
never.
VAR.
More
This is
free
why I don't
kick,
use
actually.
VAR. We can't use that as the reason why Liverpool. Sorry, why?
But it's not just VAR. Like, it's injuries and everything else. There's a lot of things that we overlook here as fans that we don't give proper. We're not proper. I just don't think we're overlooking it. We're overlooking the likes of how important Kulu is, how important Romero is back there. Like, if you're missing key players, it's going to have a
Romero's
detrimental
been awful this season. Romero's not been good this season.
He hasn't been as poor as Dyer and Sanchez has been. He's not making massive mistakes, giving away goals. He's literally not assisting Mo Salah, is he?
Of course he's not. Look, I'm not one of those fans that I can't blame things like VAR, injury. These things happen, right? These things happen in football. But when a team has won 13 of their 15 or whatever it is, 12, I think they played 14, won 12, drawn one, lost one. They've got more points than the invincible team had at this stage of the season. I don't understand how still, even now, look at what we're doing now in this chat. We're still, no one can turn around and go, yeah, they got it right, we got it wrong in the summer. It's still, before Kulu got injured, before Romero got injured, we weren't looking good. It's not like, huh?
They're the difference between picking up points.
Okay. Of course, but at the end of the day, listen, the club knows what they've got to prepare for the year. If we fail to plan for that correctly, that's on us. That's on us. If we failed to buy centre-backs, whereas Arsenal are bringing back Saliba from, someone will tell me where he was on loan, I can't remember, somewhere in France. If you're bringing back Saliba, good planning. Okay, we don't need to buy a centre-back. We've got Saliba coming in. They plan for their year. They can't help it they're not in the Champions League. Yeah? They will eventually, as they go deeper into the Europa League, have to start playing their better players, right? I've noticed in the last couple of their group games, they started to add in a few more of their top players. But guys, we knew we were in the Champions League. All of this, we play twice a week. We knew we were in the Champions League. That's what the window was for. That's the planning. Just quickly before we move on this, Huddle Crypto, this guy's always in my YouTube comments. He shouted my name. Only my friends call me Sav, by the way. It's Sava to you. It said Spurs fans this and Spurs fans that. That's all this man does. Blames fans. Laugh out loud. Then he says he can't do anything about the owners. Laugh out loud. Valuable comment that. Thank you very much for coming in. Please hit the like button. Look.
I was just looking up something for interest on the VAR conversation, by the way. If I was looking at the league table, if VAR decisions hadn't been made, the one that's been robbed the most is Newcastle. They're 5 points worse off than they should be. We're 2 points worse off. Sorry, no, we're 2 points. The other way around. 2 points better off than we would be because of VAR. Arsenal a point better off than they would be. City 2 points better off than they would be. So it's kind of VAR's kind of balancing out, unless you're a Newcastle fan, in which case they're being robbed.
I disagree. I have issues with the referee and the VAR towards Tottenham games this season.
That's like a factual thing. That's just literally overturned decisions.
What didn't we get? What didn't we get that we should have got?
Should have had a penalty at West Ham.
But couldn't you say that? How many have we got away with? I think the goal at the weekend could have been disallowed. Other refs might have disallowed that.
The third goal should have been disallowed with Bentancur's tackle on Bentancur.
But this is what I mean. The problem is we can't use VAR. VAR as a system we can't use as an excuse to why.
I'm not using that as an excuse. I just don't think it's helped us out this season.
I can't remember anything really that I thought unjust about, if I'm really, really honest.
No,
I feel like it's something we're saying to make ourselves feel better. Because
the penalty against West Ham's listed as one of the ones that went against us. Against Fulham, Richarlison goal for offside was listed against us.
But why? He was clearly offside.
But then you've also got
we won the game anyway.
You've also got Leicester as well, penalty retaken that was given against us.
Sessio versus Liverpool, they gave Cancelo the penalty the day before, or against Cancelo the day before for the exact same reason.
It's not got that on there yet. Perhaps this is a little bit out of date, but
I'd
it's
say it is out of date, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
must be. But
I
it's got things like 4 where Sonny scored. It was an incorrect offside decision.
Yeah, look, I just think, look, at the end of the day, we seem incapable of being able to give praise to anybody else that does well, and where we've failed. And all I'm saying is, all summer, this is what I heard. Kuva, you're on the shows with me all summer. They're in our rear view mirror, and I'm looking at the way they play. I'm looking at what he's built. We're saying he's had 400 million, but the players he's bought, I've been told by Spurs fans, are all crap. So all of a sudden now he's had 400 million, he's been backed. But when he bought Ben White, Ben Shine, right? When he bought Zinchenko, reject. Jesus is a reject, right? Xhaka, awful midfielder. Martinelli, he's no good. I just feel. Look, guys, let's talk for the last 20 minutes.
I think just on that, to finish off that bit. Sometimes you do need a little bit of luck getting everything to fit together for you. There's no doubt about that. So, I mean, sometimes you got to bring that into the equation. Arteta, it's come together at the last moment, sort of thing. Saw things where you could signs where it was going in the right direction, some signs where it wasn't, and then suddenly it's all just fitted into place this season. You could argue that's what we're going to wait for at this club.
Transformative signings, mate. That's what.
Well, the thing is, I don't think there's anyone not sitting here saying, "Yeah, Arsenal are playing nice football, this, that, and the other." There's a big difference between saying, they're not going to be there by the end of the season and not giving them any praise whatsoever. I think, yeah, they have done well this season. They've played nice football, but I just don't think they're going to stay there. Like we do this as Spurs fans. Before, people say to me, I want to be like Leicester. I want to be like people saying to me last season, why can't we be like Brighton? Why can't we beat West Ham? I'm sitting there, I'm like, what teams that are all below us? I mean, we also do this as Spurs fans. We constantly look at clubs and say, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? And a lot of them, like clubs that are below us, yes, Arsenal are doing well, but they're not going to stay there.
Okay, but if so, let me just quickly read out the super chat. So Shane Cousins says, Dave, no need to dig me out. In my opinion,
First of all, he dug me out. That's why I replied.
Listen, it's cool. It's just a chat.
No, I know, but let's not get this confused. He dug me out, otherwise I wouldn't have pulled up the comment. He dug me out in the comments. That's why I replied. Let's not get this mixed up.
Yeah, absolutely. But in my opinion, Conte's time at Chelsea was a failure. He inherited a squad of world-class players, spent 118 million, judge him on the second season. If it was success, why sack him? As a Spurs fan, I don't know enough about what happened there and stuff, but lots of my Chelsea mates say this. Lots of them say that it went sour even after he'd spent hundreds of millions. They said that the one thing I was reading the other day on a Chelsea blog that my friend writes was everyone keeps saying wait till Conte gets his players, but the players he brought into Chelsea were players like Morata and Drinkwater and players that didn't succeed. So when we say give Conte his players, it's not just a shoo-in that he gets his players, we win trophies. Dave, just going back to, and Pete, let me bring you in here as well. Shane, thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. I think we're all in agreement that Arsenal probably won't win the league. If they do, it will just be a bloody nightmare, right? It will be awful. But I'm going to ask you a direct question.
I think they can. It's just going
to I'll close my channel. My channel will stop before it's even started.
hang on, guys. Right? If we do finish below them, has this season been a failure? If we finish below Arsenal, considering what everyone was saying about how bad Arteta is and how bad their players are compared to ours, is it a failure if we don't finish above them, having finished above them last year?
Yes.
Why?
For me, don't win any silverware. It's a bad season.
What, Spurs?
Yeah, any club.
I think where we are, what the Champions League should have done for us, even though it hasn't. We have more money than them. We generate more money than them. Yeah, they can't. They bought better players than we did. They bought the players they needed to. The players they buy go into their first 11. Players we buy go on the bench. And as you're different, they're not still hogging an Emerson Royal like we are. He's this will be the third window he's been there now, and he's still there. So, I mean, we still can't. I don't even care if we can't sell him. Just keep him out of the team until his contract runs out. Get him sweeping the floor or something. He probably can't even do that properly. Do you know what I mean? But he's still there and still playing. Yeah, they don't have problems like that. We've played the Saliba. Arteta, we weren't ready. Send him out on loan. Send him out on loan again and again. And then eventually he comes back ready. Where we keep our players around the team. The only one we've done it for is Skip. That's a one example. And who done that? Jose sent him out. Yeah. Other than that, we keep players around for some reason. Who knows? Tanganga might have done something by now. I doubt it, but you never know. Yeah. Even Rodon, you buy him, you don't use him, then loan him out. Yeah, but we only just started doing it now after he'd been at the club 2 years. It's a complete waste of time. Walker Peters was another one. They have a better strategy than us. Let's be honest. Everything from their club, from top to bottom, they all seem to be on. Said the other day, all seem to be on the same wavelength. Everyone pulling in the same direction. When you watch
the two documentaries, it seems like
you see it. Everything. They're all on the same. Like everyone wants the same thing, and they all agree about the way they're going to go about doing it. Where at Spurs, it's like Levy wants to do this, Conte wants to do that, and then Paratici sort of sandwich in between. He's either trying to please both, or he's even got his own agenda, what players he likes. And when you got a system like that, because it comes down from the top, it doesn't start at the bottom up. It comes from the top down. So if they're all over the place, there's no thing why the team was all over the place. Look at the club over the last 5 years. If Conte leaves in January, we're looking for our fifth manager since 2019. Fifth manager. Yeah, that is an indictment to the board and how they run this club.
If we're not finishing above Arsenal, that is just bragging rights at stake. The only time I really care about that is if they finish second, because I want us to bloody win the title. That matters. The rest of it is just bullshit. We're arguing about what's successful when we're not bringing in silverware. We're an elite club. That's it. End of the day, any elite club, if they're not winning a trophy, they've had a bad season.
I don't think we're an elite club.
I get that. My point with this, though, was the fact that we just finished above them and pipped them to Champions League. The fact that we had Paul in the Champions League with the stadium, with Conte, that's where I'm coming from with this. For me, I don't care. Every year on year when people go, we finished 7 years in front of Arsenal, don't really care because we've not won anything. But the fact that if they finish above us, and this is all people in the chat, calm down, it's hypothetical. It's not happened yet. All right? Yeah, if they do finish above us, for me, that shows a complete lack of a complete lack of planning and failure that we've then been superseded by the club we pipped to Champions League. Yeah. And they didn't have Champions League to offer. They're bringing in players like Zinchenko and Jesus with no Champions League to offer. We're Champions League. Who do we attract? Who's the most high caliber player we attracted? So that's
Romero, Kulu, and Bentancur.
Yeah, but that
weren't in the Champions League when we bought them.
But that's what I'm saying.
So you don't need to be in the Champions League. I'm saying since we've been in the Champions League this year, who do we get in the Champions League? Top player Basuma, who we could have got if we were playing in the Europa League. All the other players we ever buy when we was in the Champions League. Who did we buy when we was in the Champions League? That was a real standout player, and we went, oh, that's why we're in the Champions League. We've never done it. Never done it. We've always bought players we can always buy. To be honest, we don't use the Champions League and everything else as a platform. For us, it seems like a trapdoor. Because as soon as we get on it, we fall through it and start trying to get back up there again. We never actually go to the next level.
In a way, it's kind of ludicrous we even have these discussions, isn't it? Because we all know at the end of the day, get a great manager in, buy decent players for him in the right positions, stick with it. You're going to get somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, David, where are you at with this? I mean, again, look, when people are saying, we shouldn't measure ourselves against Arsenal, this conversation could be Chelsea if we just picked them. It's not about it being Arsenal, but it adds spice to it that there are North London neighbours that we belittled. I mean, they were. Kuva, you saw it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember from Adam because, honestly, we read so much crap on a daily basis. It's hard to remember everything. But at one point, were Arsenal not like 7 or 8 points ahead of us in the Champions League race, and we clawed it back?
Yeah, sure, yeah. That's why this is hypothetical. Listen, we could come back from the World Cup. We could win 4 straight off. They lose 4 straight off. It all changes. I'm just going.
Last season we had that comical phase in the season where it was a race for who wanted it least.
Yeah.
It was like we're all desperate to throw the points away.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So this is my point, David. I mean, doesn't that show though that if they manage to finish above us, potentially only buying 2 first-team players? Let's be really honest here. Jesus and Zinchenko. All the rest they bought were squad players. People like is it Fabio Vieira? Is it Fabio, players like that. If they've gone out and bought 2 first-team players plus Saliba on loan, and the fact that we've gone out and bought 7 and haven't addressed the issues like they have, doesn't that just show the mess from top to bottom at our club between Levy, Conte, Paratici, the scouts, that it's all not aligned?
Look, 100% we all know it's not aligned. Like, Paratici is completely rebuilding that backroom team as we speak. He's done a lot of work on it since he's come in here, trying to get people in place to improve our scouting, improve players coming through the youth system, and improve the scouting department across Europe. So then, rather having to keep spending 60, 70, 80 million on a world-class player position, hopefully the hope is you can produce 1 or 2 of them to save you that sort of money. And but as well, we know that Daniel Levy has his own ideas and managers have their own ideas. We know that nobody at that sort of level is aligned. But I can't lie, where I'm at with it, I do look. Last January, I was the only one that said I think things are changing slightly, and I got absolutely dog's abuse. As you can imagine, it went down like an absolute lead balloon. But I was proven right. I said at the time, instead of bringing quality in over quantity or quantity in over quality, we've got quality over quantity. We identified positions that would improve this team, and it was good enough to get us top 4. And I think I said then I wanted them to act early in the summer, get transfer business done. Now, don't get me wrong, I was let down. I didn't get the areas I wanted in personally, and I think that it was a bit of a shit show towards the end of the window, the fact that we didn't that. But I do think the recruitment is better. I think, like I said, where I'm at now with everything, I'm going to back Conte. I trust Conte. And I think this summer I want to see some real talent come in here, whether that's in the back line, another player in the forward line. But I think we've now put ourselves in that position where it can be done. Yes, we've been in positions before where we could have done it and we didn't. But we've also been in positions before where we've squandered the money away on an Ndombele and a Lo Celso and stuff like that and overpaid. But I think this time, once we get ourselves into that position, I think under Paratici, I think that money will go on the right player. That's just my belief. That's how I see it.
Listen, I tell you what, David, I agree. And I remember being asked the question back in January. And Pete, you were in the WhatsApp group with me when there was a few people in the WhatsApp group going, Bentancur and Kulusevski, oh, God, they're not very good. They're rejects. And I remember turning around and we said, Pete, didn't we, that, hang on, you've got Bentancur, who is considerably better than at the time Winks, Ndombele, Lo Celso, and you've got Kulusevski, who is considerably better than Mora and Bergwijn. But that was the disappointing thing for me in the summer, that I thought we were going to do that again. I thought it was going to be right. The next 2 or 3 that come in are considerably better than what we've already got. But just a few super chats. Got to go through Salvador Ramos. I get the feeling that's probably someone famous for some reason that shouldn't be. Sava belittling Conte's football. Mate, not belittling it. I don't enjoy it. It's listen, that's surely my personal opinion. I don't have to like what you have to like, and you don't have to like what I have to like. That's life. Borodin has said, do you think Newcastle will finish above us? Borodin, thank you so much for the chat. We'll come to this next because Newcastle have changed the dynamic of the top 4 race. There is another super chat somewhere. Tim Man has come with a super chat. Thank you so much. Said, guys, we can blame Conte for the style of football we play. However, missing Kulusevski was massive. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but don't think we have lost a match when he started this season. Tin Man, I completely agree with you. Kulusevski is a massive loss, but it can't just be that one player gets injured and our team falls apart. It can't be that. Sorry, just for me. But I agree with your sentiment. I do agree with you. And Faz Radar has also said, 31 goals scored, not negative of all our problems. Faz, for me, this is all dependent on how you look at it. For me, I've never said it's negative, the goals we scored. For me, it's the style of play that gets us there. It's the fact that we have to keep going 2-0, 1-0 down before we start seeing the team play some football. So I don't think the number of goals scored is the issue. We're always going to score goals. We have goal scorers, always. Hence why I've never said we won't finish top 4. And Pete, you'll back me up. I've been consistent with that all year. I've said we will finish 4th. I'm not changing my mind on that.
I haven't. I said at the start of the season we won't finish the top 4.
No, I know you might have, but listen, I'm trying to save my own bacon here, mate.
No, you did. That's why we disagreed. You said we would. I said we wouldn't.
Listen, agreed. I mean, guys, David, let me come to you. The Newcastle dynamic is huge for not just Spurs. It's huge now for Chelsea, who are now in a top 4 race. Liverpool, who are now in the top 4 race. Spurs, Newcastle, Man United. I mean, I want to say Arsenal will probably drop back into that top 4 bit, but they're almost at that stage now where it would have to be a catastrophe for them to not make top 4. What have Newcastle done? Because it's not oil money. When people are saying oil money, they've not gone out and done anything extravagant. Yeah. Why have they forced their way into this top 4 race?
Look, I think there's a team that does it every season. But look, with Newcastle, they do have the potential to stay there because they can go again in January. And that is the issue with them. But we said the same with West Ham before the last couple of seasons. No, they're going to get... No, they're not. They just don't have the players to stay there. And when I look at that Newcastle team, I'm not sure them players can keep that form up consistently enough over 38 games. Whereas I think we will have better form second half of the season. I think given Harry Kane, Kulusevski, sort of world-class players like that, and I know you disagree with maybe with Kulu being world-class, but I think he is.
Oh, he's nowhere near world-class. He's not yet. Not yet.
That's an argument for another day. That's an argument for another day. But
I like to see players do it over a number of years before I call them world-class.
That's fair. That's fair.
Not 6 months, you know what I mean? But listen, that's just me.
No, that's fair. Look, that's fair. Me, personally, I do think he's world class, and I just think
very rarely.
We've got better players throughout our squad that will last the distance of the campaign on a more consistent basis than maybe what Newcastle will. There's always one team that is always up and around thereabouts, but always tailor off near the end. I think Newcastle could be that team. But next season, over the summer, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's why we have to get next summer absolutely right. Because if not, we are falling behind the times with Liverpool potentially getting another takeover as well. I mean, it's getting to the point where we probably need to be taken over if we just want to compete at the end of the day. Because we've got money, but we don't have that sort of money. You know, where you could just throw millions, hundreds of millions at every single window. So if it does come to that point, I think we're listening to Sean on it as well. I think it will come to the point where they will have to settle for the betterment of the club to be able to give us fans what we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, Pete, if we look at the Newcastle dynamic, whoever's up there, there's always going to be a question is, can they stay up there if they've not been there before? I.e., Arsenal haven't been challenging for a title for years. So it's, can they stay there? Newcastle haven't been anywhere near the top 4 for many years. And now it's, will they stay there? But is it different this year, Pete, the fact that Newcastle play once a week, have, again, in the window, they spent the same amount of money as we did, right? But bought players that went straight into their 11. And thirdly, does it help that they can turn around and go bang, bang, bang in the January window and then the next summer window?
Yeah, and the missing bit is they've got a good coach, and I didn't realise. I thought Eddie Howe was okay at Bournemouth, but then I think he got a bit stale. I didn't give him the credit he probably deserves. I didn't think he was all that, but clearly he's putting up wonders there, and fair play to him. I thought, because when they brought him in, I thought he was only a stopgap till they get sort of one of the more exotic name managers in the summer, but he proved his worth. So fair play to him. But he's done some simple things and he's improved players. He's took Joe Linton from a centre midfielder to a competent midfielder. Almiron is now tearing it up when he wasn't before. They've bought well. They said they play like Dan Burn, simple sort of nuts and bolts sign, and have gone in and reinforced their back line. They've got the meanest defence in the league. and they're playing decent stuff, and they're still missing players like Set Maximum, who's injured, who tears people to shreds for fun and scares the life out of people. Imagine him running at Royal. You'd run behind your sofa, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to see it. It'd be the worst. Oh, and Dyer.
I prefer the signer sofa.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, the sign would be more useful. Do you know but they've done really well, and you think, can they stay there? Well, playing once a week will help them. I don't think they'll start spending hundreds of millions because they can't. They have to slowly grow organically, sort of the turnover of the club to match. They can't just pump in money because of the old FFP scenario. But they're doing well. They've got players like Isaac, who's bought in. He's injured now, but when he comes back, if Wilson gets injured, he's ready to step in. As soon as he started, he hit the ground running, banging in goals. So why can they not? I think we've got our own problems as well when after the World Cup. What's Kane going to be like? Do you know what I mean? Because will he get his injury in January? He's done it before. Is Son going to come back even a player? I mean, are we going to see him? Because we ain't seen him all season, apart from one game. Sweden not in the World Cup, are they?
I don't think so.
No. But we could have our own injuries to deal with as well.
That's very true. I mean,
they got the form, they got the confidence in their team.
Yeah, look, confidence is a huge thing, and guys, we're going to go for. We're going to do another 10 minutes as long as everyone's all right with that, and then we'll drop off, and then if everyone after that 10 minutes wants to pop over to Henry Wright TV to watch the Spurs corner, that'd be great for them, guys. Akash, that's not extravagant. Guimaraes was 40 million. Botman was 40 million. I mean, these were not. This isn't extravagant. We spent 60 million on Richarlison, right? So when we're saying extravagant, they've spent the same amount of money as we have in the last two windows. So we can't say they've gone extravagant, because if they have, then we have. Phil P with a super chat said, thank you so much, Phil. He said, proper centre back, then Spence, Kuti, Perisic with a 4-3-3. I'd love to see something like that. I really would.
Can I just say something on that as well, just quickly? I'm actually not a fan of the back three, the back five. I actually prefer seeing us in a back four. But I do understand why we play it, but I would rather get back to a back four at some point.
It's not going to happen, is it, under Conte? I think that's the point. We know that, don't we? Which is why, hence bringing this all full circle, which is why for a manager that has his way of playing, where there is no flexibility, that is where I thought we'd build from. That for me, that's the biggest issue. 9 players have come into the club since he's joined, and none of them solve the most important thing for his formation. So that worries me. But guys, sorry, Kuva, just quickly, can you see Spurs finishing top 4 this season? There's a lot of competition with Man United. Man United are 3 points behind us with a game in hand. Chelsea and Liverpool are now in that pack chasing us. Arsenal will probably drop down into that. Newcastle. I mean, what do you think?
It's Spurs. I think we're going to be in a real dogfight till the last day of the season with several other teams for 4th spot.
Mm-hmm.
I really do think Newcastle will continue to pull away from us. They are. I believe in what they're doing more than I believe in what we're doing.
What, on Newcastle?
Yep, they got focused. They know what they're going to reinforce in the transfer windows. They go out and do it. No fuss. No. They're not even like it's not even like they're going out and splashing out on Mbappe and Nessie, is it? They're just buying quality in the positions that are their weakest in, looking good for it, well coached, well rehearsed in their defensive duties. Every player knows what they're doing, pulling together, getting the results. Don't lose. Yeah. One game they've lost in the league. Last minute goal against Liverpool, wasn't it? That's it.
I mean, Kuva, the thing with that as well is when we look at what they've done, it's twofold for me. First and foremost, they've gone out and gone, and this is 2 windows, by the way. This is 2 windows. When we're talking about Conte's only had 2 windows, they've spent the exact same money as us, but when they started their journey, they were bottom of the league and hadn't won a game in their first 13 or 14 in the league. Right? This is what annoys me about how we're run. They brought in Pope, who goes straight in goal. They bought a brand new back four with Trippier, Botman, Byrne, and Target. I know Shaw plays now because Target's injured, but they bought Guimaraes to pull the strings in midfield, and then they've got Isaac up top, who unfortunately for them got injured. Right. But on top of that, what I like about what Howe's done, Howe has taken terrible players, or players that everyone said was terrible, that were bottom of the league, talking about getting relegated, and they all look very good. Willock, Almiron, Longstaff, Shaw, Joe Linton, right? All of a sudden, it's not just that he's brought in some good players, he's upskilled his current players. So that for me is when everyone's telling me constantly these players have been here for ages, they've not done well at Spurs, it's not on Conte. I just struggle to understand why he can't do that, what Eddie Howe's doing. And no, I'm not saying I want Eddie Howe over Conte before anyone says it. Is there any merit to what I'm saying?
But look, he brought in defenders to be able to play his way. It's the nuts and bolts of it. He plays out from the back. He brought in defenders to play his way.
But okay, so I'm asking, so why have we not done that? That's my point. They've spent the same amount of money, so we can't say that they've got.
Here's what I think we didn't do it, Sav. I think they looked at it. I think they seen Dyer taking upturn, Sanchez. I think they said, okay, now we can address the midfield. Now we can bring in Richarlison, address the wing backs, whatever else. I think obviously they said they needed a left-sided centre back, so they brought in what's his name, Leng Legend, into the team. So look, I think they tried to make a calculated move and it just didn't work. But I knew it wouldn't. Like you got it. Like we can sit here and question Conte on why he's not getting more out of Dyer and Sanchez. But look at the pattern of these guys. When did Pochettino get sacked from this football club? October, November. Yeah. Right. You look at Jose Mourinho. When we were top of the league under him, that we came off the cliff. October, November. Dyer, Sanchez, people like that. Put in awful shifts around that period. Same under Nuno. Started off well under Nuno. Where did he get sacked? October, November. We're sitting here October, November again. Results have took a downturn yet again. And now we're calling for Conte's head. It can't keep being every manager over these couple of months. At some stage, you've got to look at individuals, look at comments from previous managers and what they said on these guys. And you'll know the answer. They cannot do it on a consistent basis that we needed them to, on or off the ball. Like some of the stuff Eric Dyer did just doing, you can't blame Conte for. You can't blame Conte for Eric Dyer assisting Mo Salah with a header. You can't blame Conte for Eric Dyer keeping the Leeds players on for their second goal yesterday, which he did. Everyone else is pushed up in the line. He sits back and decides he'll mark someone. Can't blame him for that. Can't blame him for midweek Sanchez letting a player come inside. These are basics of football. You're taught, show your players on the outside. Keep the line. You know, these are all basics of football. You can't keep blaming a manager for these things. Like, we can't sit there and go, we've got a shit owner, we've got a shit backline, but constantly make the manager the excuse by hiring and firing them all the time because of it. At some stage, you've got to address one of the problems. And it's easier to sack a manager and cheaper to sack a manager than it is bringing in 3, 4, 5 players across that backline. And that's why we constantly sack the manager.
I agree. Listen, in the purpose of this conversation, I'm not sitting here saying sack him. My point is this.
No, I know.
What Eddie Howe has done at Newcastle, as I said, it was twofold. It wasn't that he just brought in players that went straight into his 11. It was that he's upskilled players as well. I'll ask this question. Who has Conte upskilled? Who's got better since Conte joined?
I think Davies. To be fair, most people.
If we're saying Davies,
most people were telling me Dyer and Sanchez. You know,
but you're telling me that's the issue of why we're not very good.
I know, but I'm just telling you what people would say to me. You know, most people were saying last season Dyer's had a great season. He's got the best out of him. I'd argue he's got the best out of Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, and Doherty than any other manager that has managed them at this football club.
I think the question's twofold. I don't think Conte is the right fit for us at the moment, anyway, and because his football's dire. But I don't think the players have always been a problem. Yeah, I don't think keeping him or sacking him changes the fact that we need new centre backs. That's not going to change. He does pick these players. I mean, for me, this whole argument about Dyer and Davies, Sanchez were good last season. for me is a lot of bollocks because they were good in a couple of games. The games where we had.
But here's another
We
one,
basically,
though.
we basically sorry, mate.
You said it yourself there. He keeps picking these players. But who do we want him to pick?
Well, I wouldn't have a back 4 and 5 for starters. He's asking for trouble.
Right.
We're ignoring the signs, like we all said under Jose and under Nuno. A lot of people, well, let's go to a back 5. A lot of modern managers are doing this. They're playing lovely football, but we're ignoring the issues of how bad it was in the back 4 under previous managers.
But it's been no better under a back 5, let's be honest.
But we are. We've gone from Europa Conference League to Champions League. We are better.
And the way we're going this season, we'll be back in it again.
This time last season, we were sitting in 9th. We are better.
When Conte took over, we were 5 points behind.
If you're singling out the last month and a half, you would say no. But if you're looking at over a longer period of time, which I think you have to do, we are better. It's facts. The league position proves that.
I think league position now, I think it's a bit of a false economy league position when you think about who we've played. But like, when Conte took over, we were 5 points off 4th. So it's not as if we were down like 14th. We were 5 points off 4th. We weren't a million miles away. That's a fact. But players like Davies Dyer, they had good games against like Liverpool when they were just asked to camp there, and everyone was there next to them, basically like a fucking wall of players trying to stop the other team getting through. Then they're good. When there's sort of last minute blocks, blah blah, all that sort of stuff. When they're asked to actually be footballers and defend without having all that backup, that's when they come wanting. When you want them there as a line of players, they're good. Yeah, they can stand there and they can hold their position. They'll throw everything in front of the ball, all that, block everything. But when it actually comes to coming out and try and do something, trying to actually play football, that's where they get found wanting. But with no better really with a 3 than a 2, in my opinion, because you could have had another midfielder there who could hopefully help win the ball further up the pitch, and it don't get that far to them. Where at the moment it gets to them, and then it's just an accident waiting to happen. Keep it away from them.
Sorry, Cooper,
there's just one thing that keeps niggling me is I keep hearing the argument that Arsenal will fall away from the top of the division. That's going to happen. That first place is false. But us being in 4th, that's proof that we're definitely finishing top 4 and we're looking strong.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can't have both.
But last season, like we proved we finished 4th. Last season, Arsenal proved they bottled it. Arsenal also has proof beforehand. Like I have proof because the last 7 seasons we finished above them. We've been in the Champions League a lot longer over the last decade than what they have. Like there's proof to say this. Whereas Arsenal, there's also proof to show that when they've been top of the league at certain periods, they've bottled it with better teams and a better manager.
But we've got nothing
like
to
it's
show
not
for
just
it.
being plucked out of thin air. Like there's proof to what I'm saying. There's stats to back
Everything
it up.
changes. Everything changes. They probably said the same about us before Poch came in, and then we reversed that. So it all goes in cycles, doesn't it? Because before that, in the mid 90s, it was us finishing above them. Then Wenger came in, and they just tore off. And now we had to wait nearly 15, 20 years for it to come back round again. And who's to say that this 7-8 years where we've been above them consistently is now going to change? If we don't take heed of what they're doing, then we're just destined to repeat the same mistake.
Can I just say that
one other thing quickly? Can I reply to Greg Spur, because I swear to God he's trying to wind me up all the time.
He is.
I love it, but you're saying about he was questioning me, saying Newcastle are an exciting team, and how many games they drew. Yeah, early on in the season. Now look at them; they won 7 out of their last 8 league games. Don't see a lot of draws in that. They build from the back to start with, made themselves impossible to beat, and then built on it. So they're now an attacking side that's impossible to beat. Seems a pretty good plan to me.
If Conte had won 7 out of 8, we'd be waxing lyrical. When another manager does it, we can't give credit. We just can't give credit. Look, the thing for me with this, with everything as to like who would we want to see play, etc. When they're fit, I would love to see Conte try a back 4 with Longland, Romero. I'd love to see it so that we don't have to see Dyer, Davies, Sanchez. I'd just like to see it, right? I don't mean for one game as well. Like what I saw, I won't mention names, but what I saw, when people were asking to be changed the 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2, we did it for one game, and we beat Brighton. Then the next game when we did it, we lost. And it was, there you go. Everyone wanted it to change. And look, it's really bad. It doesn't work. And you're like, well, hang on. we do this 3-4-3 or 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it, religiously. We try something else for one game and then we say, oh, there you go, it don't work. I'd just like to see it. That's all I'd like to see. And then I can turn around as a fan and go, you know what, fair enough. You did try that. You have got.
You are asking for something that Conte's not going to do, though. You do know that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
But
That's
it's not
why
really.
I'm happy for another manager.
Because he's not flexible. He's not
Here's where
flexible.
I
Any other
disagree.
manager comes in and tears that up because they go, I can't play back 5 of them idiots. I can't do it. And that idiot at right wing back, forget it. Yeah, they won't do it.
I disagree. Look,
flexible.
He got top 4 using his system. We're still sitting in 4th now. And what else was going to say? Like, for me, we hired Conte to get us out of the mire. We hired him for his CV. And with what comes on his CV comes his style of philosophy and man management. He's a successful manager, right? We'll all agree he's got trophies in the bank. He's a successful manager.
Yeah,
now, why would we hire a successful manager to come into an unsuccessful club and then tell him he's the problem and he needs to change his system, even though he's employed at all these other clubs and it's won him trophies, but Tottenham's the anomaly. And we're falling into the trap again. We've done it with Jose. We all said, one second though, but we all sat here and said he's all outdated, he's a dinosaur, he doesn't know what he's doing, this, that, and the other. Newsflash. Tottenham's still the only club he hasn't won a trophy at. So is Tottenham the problem or is everybody else the problem?
Yeah, I've never changed.
You'll get an argument from me on that. You'll get an argument from me on that.
Tottenham are the problems right at the top and feeds downwards. My only problem with Conte is I just have too many games. I don't enjoy what I'm watching. I don't.
Rigid.
I've given up on winning anything under this regime until we get new owners. I just want to see nicer football, something I enjoy. Yesterday was fun. More of that, please.
But this is what we hear. It's like Spurs don't have the players for a back 4, but I'm being told by everybody that the reason we're not good to watch is because we don't have good defenders now. So we don't have the players for a back 4 or a back 5, right? Look, at the end of the day, David, I agree and I disagree with a lot of what you just said there. I get it. He's a winner. He's won where he's been. I get it. I'm not knocking it at all. Just for me personally, as Kuva said, I've kind of got to the stage now where I don't believe we're going to win anything with any manager under these owners, right? I don't believe we are. So my whole point to all of this has been, if we're not going to do that, if we're not going to back managers anymore, I'd at least like to see someone come in that attempts to play football before we start losing a game.
I think that's the difference of where we're at. Like me, I still hold out hope. Now, obviously, I think you've got about 9 years more on me. So if I had them 9 years, maybe I wouldn't be. But I think that's where it is. I think when I listen to where you and Kuva are coming from, I think maybe you've given up hope. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong. But you've given up hope about us winning trophies. I haven't yet. Maybe that's naive of me, but I haven't. I can never.
Okay, but to use your analogy for earlier, you said earlier that, well, the reason why Arsenal are going to fall away is history tells us this. And the same thing at Spurs. History tells us we are not winning trophies, right? Yeah. The transfer windows, the players we're bringing in are telling me we're not closing the gap. We are not going to win. We've not only not closed the gap, we've fallen 8 to 11 if they win their game in hand, points behind the team we finished above. So, yeah, I've lost the hope that we're going to win things. And more than that, I just want to enjoy my team again. Yeah, I just want to enjoy. Like yesterday, in spells, I thought we played well in spells. But again, David, for me, it was, we started playing when we went 2-1 down. Yeah, and we got to 2-2. And we said it live, didn't we, at Couve when we were streaming? Right, go and attack them now. We've seen how vulnerable out of the back. We retreated for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Leeds score. Then all of a sudden from the kickoff, it's like everyone's looking at each other going, right, are we allowed to go forward? Right, okay, bang.
I disagree. Do you not think we attacked them from the start? I think we did. I thought we
ebbed and flowed that game. I thought there were large chunks where Leeds were in control, chunks where we were in control. It was very end to end in sort of prolonged periods, if you like, but scrappy game. It was just fun because of the amount of goals. Let's face it.
Look, I just want to know that I keep seeing us finish strongly in games, apart from Forest, and I keep being told that We haven't got the players to play any type of football, but we do. Bentancur is capable. Yeah. Højbjerg does it for Denmark, right? Perisic is capable. Kane, Son, Kulusevski, right? These players are capable of.
We have to get the ball to them, and that's the problem.
But okay, but then why play the way we play that relies on defenders being good? Just
the only solution then is bring in Sam Allardyce and go long ball, but football's moved on since then.
Dyer's already chosen to do that, hasn't he?
No, there's a lot of ways of playing football in between Sam Allardyce and Antonio Conte.
Eddie Howe don't have world-class defenders,
but he went and signed a load. And look across that back line. He signed a lot.
No standout signing. I guarantee if we bought any of them, Spurs fans would be going, Dyer's better than him. Dyer's better than him.
No, I think what David said earlier, I agree with. I think we're all on the same page. It's just some of us are reading lower down now and giving up.
The problem, I think, the thing with trophies and Conte primarily rings leagues. Yeah, that's what he's mainly won is the league. And we've got to overcome City to win a league. It's not going to happen. He's not a cup manager. He rarely wins cups. I think he's won about 3 in his time. 2 of them in Italy and an FA Cup. But we're not going to win those cups because he doesn't prioritise. He's a league manager. When you look at what he does, we should have got him after he left Chelsea. Whilst we still had the Poch team, that's when we should have got him. He's like the finished article. We've got your players. You got that. He just comes in and can take it to a next level. He's never really gone anywhere and built anything from scratch where we are to an established team. I can't see anything changing.
He is saying,
yeah, what he wants to, then get the fucking pen out and sign the shit. Yeah, because actions speak louder than words. He can sign a contract tomorrow.
I agree, but you can't expect him just to sign a contract without guarantees. Like, he's not stupid.
No, he's not. So he should know that Daniel Levy does not apply by them rules. Daniel Levy will not be dictated to by no one. We saw it with Jose, a man with a CV as long as your arm. 10 times the CV Conte's got, let's be honest, yeah, and he still didn't budge. So Daniel Levy, I can't stand the geezer, but he will not fall for that shit. He never has. He never will.
The ball's just in Daniel Levy's court as far as I'm concerned. If he wants a top-level manager, slap the contract on the table, guarantee him the stuff he wants.
This is the big thing for me, Cobra. And just quickly, I'll just read out Shane Cousins' super chat. Thank you, Shane. Just said Mourinho got us to a cup final with that poor back 4. Conte's first chance, he failed at Forest B string.
Can't argue that.
But you're also missing the fact that Mourinho failed to get us Champions League over the course of 38 games. Conte didn't.
Okay, so but then, David, if we're going
Mourinho had a worse squad. Mourinho had a worse squad
than Conte.
Much worse.
Imagine Jose Mourinho had Romero, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Perisic. Right, he didn't. He had Joe Rodon. Right, he had Lo Celso, Winks, Sissoko, Lamela. So look, I don't want a Jose Conte debate, but look, thanks for the.
No, but you have to take that into account. Like, Conte has got us Champions League, and Jose didn't. Like, it's all well and good saying Jose got us to a cup final.
Dave, I get that. I get that. We got us Champions League, but what does that mean? I don't get what that means because we don't do anything in it. We're not in it to try and win it. We're just in it to count the till receipts.
Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't want to be in that either. That's an obvious argument, but. We don't use it. We don't use it to do anything. That's the problem. So there's no point in gaining it. We don't never use it to build further. We don't compete in it, and we don't use it to reinforce the squad.
Sorry, just quickly, Summer. David just saying there about would rather be in the Champions League than not in it. It's no real difference to me saying I just want to have a manager that plays attacking football to Conte who's not doing it.
I'm not saying you can't say that.
Either way, it's not about winning anything, is it? We're just talking about. Just enjoying the moment.
But this is what you get from Spurs fans. For a football club, you think how much someone like Greg will berate me for wanting to watch proper football, right? Or what I perceive to be good football. And then we've got fans that belittle winning trophies like this. Think about it, guys. We have not won a trophy for 15 years. We've won one trophy in 22 years, right? And we get fans like this saying the Cara Falls Cup.
But they smell up league managers.
because Conte has got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, it's a fool's cup. I'm sorry, it can't be
No, it's
both.
not.
No,
It's not.
the
It's a
elite
cup.
managers like Guardiola, Klopp, and Mourinho when he was in his prime always target that trophy. Yeah, they've been the FA Cup off, and they always went for League Cup because it's over by February. It don't coincide with the league
But the
running,
thing is,
and
like,
if you win that, it sets them up nicely for the running because they're confident they've just bagged the trophy. That's why Man City won it. Was it 6 years in a row or something like that?
Yeah.
They win
Yeah.
it for a reason. Yeah, Mourinho went after it. Klopp goes after it, not early in the round, but then he gets his teeth into it. But we're the only ones that can batter it off. It makes me laugh.
All of these so-called Mickey Mouse trophies. You look at the teams winning it and tell me they don't celebrate it. Tell me their fans are going ballistic over it.
Who won them both last year, Cougar?
Sorry, who?
Who won them both last year?
Can't remember that far back, mate. I can't remember yesterday.
Liverpool won them both last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Who did they beat in both finals?
Chelsea, wasn't it?
So the Mickey Mouse Cup that two of the biggest teams in the country both got to the final. Who normally wins the cup every year?
See, we're missing the point here, though, boys. Like, look, it's not a Mickey Mouse Cup. Like me, I'd celebrate a pre-season trophy. I'll be honest, I do. I just love winning trophies. It doesn't matter, even if I get one off the missus saying number one boyfriend, I celebrate it. But like, what I will say is,
when did you last get that one?
Oh, lad, I get it every day of the week, trust me. Honestly, my cabinet's full. I have to go and get another one. I'm like Conte, I have to go and get another trophy cabinet. But what I will say is that I've lost my point now.
Sorry.
What was I going to say?
While you think about that, just quickly, Faz, dude, listen, you have the internet. You're on it right now. You have access to my YouTube channel. You're on it right now. If you look at a video I did maybe 48 hours ago where I said exactly what you're saying, I haven't said. Yeah? I haven't contradicted myself. I have bigged up and I have said I don't like his football. Yeah? I'm not actively every day going to go campaigning for Conte to be out. But I've said if Conte's sacked, I don't care. I don't care. I don't like what I'm watching. Just on that point, David, what you were saying about Jose didn't get us Champions League football. What we've got to say about this is, first of all, he didn't have the same players that Antonio Conte's got. Second of all, at that time, there were 4-5 better teams than us. Last year, there weren't. Last year's league was really
forget we played Brentford in the semi-final. Like, there's a lot of luck with the draw as well, But look, the thing is, the point we're missing is, it's not like Conte didn't go for it. Conte went for it. We were just shit on the night.
No, I agree. But my point is this: like when we're saying Jose didn't get us top four, you've got to remember Jose came in to a team that had completely lost all faith in Poch or the methods, or it hadn't changed, right? We were losing. All those players had started to break away. There were better teams than us in the league. He didn't have the squad. Conte at least has been backed. Conte came into a team that had Romero at the back. Jose didn't have that. He got given Bentancur and Kulusevski. Jose didn't have that. He's been given Basuma, Perisic, Longley, another sub-striker.
Jose had Jan Vertonghen, Toby Alderweireld, and Christian Eriksen.
Hang on.
Come on. They was all at decline. Jan was all over the place. Toby was going on his last legs, and Eriksen couldn't get out the door quick enough. He was only there for 6 weeks, and then he was gone.
Yeah, he had Christian Eriksen for 2 months, and then he left. Toby had already said he wanted to leave at the end of the window. Jan Vertonghen's legs look like Jan Vertonghen's legs. Come on. This is, look, it's not Conte versus it's not Conte versus Jose, but it just feels that when Jose was doing these things, he was absolutely berated. Hardly anyone was sticking up for him, right? And now Conte, some people can't find there's no blame for Conte in any of it. And that's where I find it a bit funny.
I don't think people don't blame Conte. I think people are listening to it. I think you've seen people questioning Conte on the likes of Spence and Gill and stuff like that. But I don't think everything is that bad on Conte that people are calling Conte out for it, because you can't put that many issues all on Conte. Like, I'll flip it. I don't hear anybody, like they'll all say about Dyer and Sanchez. They'll say, yeah, he's shit, but they'll gloss over it very quickly and just move straight to Conte. Like, it works in both ways. You can't put absolutely everything on Conte.
I'm not putting everything
but
on.
There are, like, Conte, people that want Conte in. There are people that do criticize him. Like, he's not going to get everything right. No manager ever does. But it's not like it's a situation where you can't criticize him. Of course you can. Everybody at the club is open for criticism.
Listen, but listen, I agree with you to an extent. I'm not putting everything on him. I don't like the way he plays football. Listen, right? The Sanchez, the Dyer thing, I mean, all of those things, right? You got to remember, this is a guy that in the summer, you even said it yourself, David, how many fans were going, we don't need a defender. Look what he's done to Dyer and Davis. Where are those fans now? Oh, they're blaming players like Dyer and Davis, yeah, for us not being able to play good football. So again, which one? Not for you.
They're not. They're blaming Conte.
No, but they're not. Look how many people in the chat will not. Look how many people in the chat.
I'll tell you, my chat, they are. Right.
Okay. But what I'm seeing a pattern. If you look at the chat now, the people that have been in here all night and the ones that can't even say Conte did X, Y, or Z wrong, they're all the same ones now with the same narrative that, oh, it's just the Carabao Cup. No one cares. It's a little cup, because their man that they will stick by through thick and thin failed miserably to beat a Forest B team, right? But Jose, who got us to that final, but if you look at the route he had, it was quite easy. And it's like, hang on, come on, we've got to be consistent with this. Surely we have to be consistent. It can't just be, oh, I like this guy, but those rules don't apply to the guy before. It's got to surely be the same.
Lower division. When you're playing teams in the lower division, it is sort of easier to get to.
What about he got past Chelsea, Jose, in the cup
beat
run,
Chelsea,
and Conte, the first cup run he got at Chelsea, he got miserably battered over 2 legs.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
It swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
It comes back to what's the real plan here at this club. If we got Conte in, we know he's a specialist at winning the leagues. So bin off the cups if you need to and go for it. I mean, I don't want to see that, but if you're going to get Conte in to do this job, do it. We don't do one thing or the other. It's like we have a little half-assed attempt at doing everything and fail at all of it.
We didn't get Conte in to win trophies. We got Conte in because of reputation, just to appease the fans. Because the fans now believe, because Conte's there, is that automatically gives us the chance of winning trophies, regardless of the players he's got to work with, which is not his fault. But that's why he's there. He's a panic
for a long time. Yeah.
I disagree slightly on that, because you got to remember, a lot of fans before he came in here were screaming from the rooftop, screaming for Conte, saying it shows ambition if we get Conte.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I agree. It shows ambition, but it shows ambition for us. If we think it shows ambition because we brought in a serial winner. But there's no point having a serial winner if you don't give him what he needs. And for what he's got no chance. Yeah. And for me, he's not helping the situation either. But we had the serial winner before, and we did exactly the same thing then. We don't bring these people in and go, right, this is how we're going to win trophies. We're going to get him in, then we're going to get that, and then we're going to get that, and we can do everything his way. We don't do that. All it is we get Conte in, same as we've got to try and appease the fans to think, yeah, this is going to be happening. When reality is there is zero intention to win anything at this club because it don't mean nothing.
I get what you're saying, right? I fully take it on board. But we also, as fans, as a fan base, can't sit there and go, oh, get Conte, it shows ambition. And then when they do it, sit there and go, oh, well, they don't really mean it. Like, you can't say, you know what I mean? It's like double standards. It's not fair. Like, we can never progress forward with absolutely anything in discussions. And as a football club, if that's what we're going to do, scream from the rooftops to show ambition by bringing him in here, and then straight away flipping it, going, well, he's not going to get back.
Showing ambition is a two-part, isn't it? They got to get him in and then back him. That's the ambition. It's not just get Conte in.
Conte's not the ambition. Conte's not the ambition. Conte's the name that should provoke the ambition within the club for me.
Exactly.
What's the easiest bit to really do to appease the fans? You can buy in all the great players you need at massive expense, or just change your manager to somebody that Levy's heard of, basically. So if he's heard of him, it must mean the fans must be happy.
The only thing is now is they're running out of them cards, yeah, because they've done Mourinho card, they've now done the Conte card, yeah, so they're never going to get a Guardiola or a Klopp. So that sort of elite, that sort of serial winner card is done. So they can't pull that one anymore. So then it's now going to go back to the Poch card, and that'll get whacked out. And then other than that, it's going to be the next up and coming manager card, and we'll be back at doing that again.
Yeah,
look, it's getting to the point where we're not even going to be papering over cracks anymore. We'll be like trying to wallpaper underwater.
Yeah, I like that. Look, it's all horses for courses. I can just see. Look, people will say the same about me. I can see when people are so, so much that they won't blame stuff on Conte, like going out to Forest. I'm sorry. When people are going, oh, but the defenders he's got. Nah, this was a Nottingham Forest B team. They've just been promoted from the Championship. No. That cannot be, oh, but the defenders. Go and attack them then, because their defenders were poor as well. But it's comments like this. Jose had a functioning Son and Kane. Conte hasn't had that this season. Jose is the one that managed to get them to both have the best season combined. Like, he got them in a frightening partnership. And this myth for me, this whole, I saw one from your mate, Greg Coover. Klopp took 5 years to win the Prem. This whole thing, first and foremost, we're not Liverpool. Second and foremost, I don't see the relevance, right? First of all, Klopp in that time was making European final after European final, right? And getting to domestic finals as well. So it wasn't like nothing happened for 5 years and then bang, they won a league. Second of all, when Klopp was given the job, Klopp was allowed to go and buy Van Dijk for 75, 80 million. Yeah, Alisson, 75, 80 million.
Yeah, but that was after he built his squad, though. That was after he's built his squad. Like, there was a time they lost 3-2 to West Brom and everybody was laughing at them. I think where Greg is trying to get at is when you look at modern day football, bar Chelsea, right? You look at the likes of Guardiola at City. He's been there 4 or 5 years. Klopp has had time to build a squad completely in his vision. Same as Guardiola. Sir Alex Ferguson, when he dominated the Premier League, is the same team. I think where Greg is maybe getting at is saying, like, we do have to sit under some manager at some time and build something. Like,
these owners won't do that. These owners won't do that.
Never done
they did do it under Pochettino. They
never backed him, did they?
We got it so far. Look, we got to loads of semi-finals, couple of finals, couple of league run-ins, Champions League final. Look, we didn't get over the line, and there could have been extra investment that would have helped that and pushed that. But
David, I agree. I agree, David. But my question is this: is Conte that guy? Is Conte the project guy? I've never seen him do it before. Whenever I've seen Conte have success, he's gone to Chelsea, right?
He is asking for it, though. I agree. He hasn't really shown it, but he is saying he wants it. He is.
But is he? Because listen, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this right now, right? Just quickly. I'll read this out. I've seen a comment I really want to react to. Rooksy Pop, thank you so much. Hope you're well, mate. He said, big up. Spurs fans say that Arsenal aren't a good team and they're riding a wave of momentum. That's a pretty long wave, if you ask me. I agree. Just quickly, Faz has said, you are so negative, mate. Of course, the old, if someone disagrees with you, then they're negative. How can you say no point of being in the Champions League? Unbelievable argument.
That's probably me. I said that. I said that because there is no point for us doing it because we don't use it to do anything.
Exactly. Being in the Champions
numbers up.
Being in the Champions League's fun, isn't it? But I mean, if we're not actually using it as the reason to kick on for anything,
exactly. What is the point? And we never have. If we don't go and win it, and we don't want to use it as a platform to build, then it's a pointless exercise.
But is I mean, this is the
vanity project.
This is the whole thing for me. If David, like you're saying, if Conte is sitting there right now, we are gonna finish in a couple of minutes. Got to. If we're sitting here saying Conte does want to be here and he wants the project, do you know what I will do? I will, when he signs that contract, and I don't mean the year being triggered. I mean, when he signs a proper contract, I will turn around and go, you know what? I won't say it anymore. I won't say anything about Conte. right?
You
Until
can still have your opinion, lad.
no, but to the extreme that I am, what I will do is I'll turn around and go, okay, cool, I get it now. Conte trusts, so he's been given assurances. So what that tells me then is then in the transfer windows, no fan can then ever say that he's not been given his players because he's signed the contract, he's been given the assurances. So I will take a step back at that point and say, cool, all right. But until that moment, I'll keep saying it every week, David. I can't back a project where the manager at the moment isn't backing his own project, so to speak. I don't think he's the project manager type. That's just me.
Look, history's on your side. I'm just going by, look, two things, right? I'm going by what Conte has said previously, where he is looking to sit at a club and build something. But I also trust my father. He's got a lot right down the years with what he said to me earlier, and I've just kind of watched the film. He's got a lot right, and I trust him. He also says to me that he reckons Conte is looking for somewhere to stay. You know, that Tottenham gives him a bit of life. It gives him, you know, it's hard. Yes, it gives him fucking headaches, but it keeps him alive. It keeps him feeling alive. Now, look, whether Tottenham's going to be that club, it might not necessarily be the case. I'll wait and see, though.
But he won't even move over here. He still lives in Italy. He stays at the thing. So there's no commitment. He did the same at Chelsea. He signed a longer term deal there. Never actually fully committed. He stayed in Italy. But just quickly touch on the Klopp thing. This is a nothing argument for me. It gets made every time. Klopp got 5 years. Klopp what Liverpool did then. They sold very well. They sold all their crap. Yeah. And there was a market for it. The market isn't there now because the money's not there in the rest of the football. Also, he sold their prized asset to reinforce their squad. Can you imagine if Conte turned around and said we should sell Son? Fucking hell, there'd be absolute murders. Yeah, our fans want players to stay at the club until they're drawing their pensions. Yeah, that's the difference. Klopp was allowed to go, right. If he wants to go, we'll sell him. Yeah, whenever we try and sell us something, you can't sell him.
Yeah, he was also really crystal clear on what football would be like at the start of his reign. He said it is going to get messy. It's going to get really messy, and we're going to bring the other team down to our level doing it. That's what they saw to start with. But they knew what the plan was. So there was a bit of patience
turned over his players because he could sell them then. We can't sell a player now. Yeah, he could sell them then and generate funds because the owners at Liverpool haven't pumped in loads of money. Most of what he spent is being recouped through sales. Yeah, they've not gone balls deep and saying loads of money. They've just sold well and bought well.
This is why I think it's lazy. I think it's lazy when I keep hearing the same argument.
It's a stupid thing.
When I hear the same arguments that, well, look what Klopp did. It's like, yeah, but we're not Liverpool. We don't work the way Liverpool work. Like you said, Liverpool sold Coutinho for 150 million. If we sold Kane or Son for 150 million to form a rebuild, our fans would lose their minds, right? So this is the thing for me. Look, guys, sorry, I've got a super chat here from Shane. Another one. Thank you. He said, Conte nearly bankrupted Inter. First season, heavily backed second, won the Serie A, demanded even more. When told we can't, you have to sell, he walked.
Can I address that?
Of course, go for it.
The Inter owners were in trouble with financial from whatever country they were on with repayments and everything else. It wasn't Conte that bankrupt Inter. Their owners were bankrupt from other things outside of football.
Just quickly, sorry.
No manager can bankrupt a club. The chairman does that.
Yeah, listen, sorry, I've got to address. Listen, this isn't an opinion. This is a barefaced lie, right? We all watched the All or Nothing documentary where Jose Mourinho was trying to convince Christian Eriksen to stay at Tottenham Hotspur. This is not true. Jose did not push Eriksen out. Eriksen stated multiple times he wanted to stay and rejected a new contract. Please, can we not? Let's not make a narrative here that isn't there. That's just not right for me.
If Conte liked him that much, he would have gone and got him in the summer.
Hang on, again. Sorry, this guy just before we rack up, right? Faz, you're not getting my point. My point is this: it's not about defending Jose's football. Jose had worse players to work with. My point is this. Jose was absolutely vilified. Fans hated his style of football, right? Hated him. Even though at one point he had us top in December, right? So my argument isn't about, we shouldn't have let Jose go and he's much better than Conte. My point is Conte's doing the same things with better players, but nothing is his fault. But Jose was vilified and all the fan base wanted him out. Not all, but most of them.
I didn't.
No, I'm not. But most of the fan base, come on, David, you know, most of the fan base were, this guy's a dinosaur, blah, blah, blah.
I was on my own, yeah. I was on my own, I agree.
But Conte's got much better. Jose didn't have Perisic, Richarlison, Basuma, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Romero, right? Jose didn't have those players, but yet still had the players that most of you defend Conte with: Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, Sessegnon, right? Aurier at the time, Sissoko, Winks. So what my point is, it's not about Jose versus Conte, but if you're going to vilify one man, why does the next man not get vilified for the same thing?
I think one thing Conte did that really helped his cause was when we got those first incidents where we were getting something positive out of the game, and he just went to the fans and went crazy. I think people just took to him instantly then, and I think that's gone a long way. If you make yourself one of the fans, you go a long way at this club. We do tend to stick up for our own, but generally, as long as things are going,
we've stuck up for Dyer long enough.
But what I don't get is it's people that there's no holistic thinking here. So, for example, it's like Conte got top 4, Jose got a 7th. Yes, because Conte had better players. And in a worse league. It's not rocket science.
And Jose took over when we were 14th.
Jose took over when we were 14th. The midfield Jose had to put out was Sissoko and Winks. Right? Conte's putting out Højbjerg and Bentancur. Yeah, Jose had to put out Lucas Moura. Conte put out Kulusevski. Jose had to put out Rodon last year, but for the injury this year, Conte's putting out Romero. So people have got Anyway, if I don't stop this now,
I disagree with the last two names, Kulu and Romero, because he has barely had them this season. Last season, yes. This season, he's barely had the use of them.
But I'm not talking about this year. I was talking about last year, which got us 4th. David, just really quickly, I've really got to wrap this up. If Bentancur and Kulusevski didn't come in January, would we have got 4th? Yes or no?
No.
Right. Okay. When Jose was the manager, who was he given in the January window, in his first January window?
Steven Bergwijn.
Steven Bergwijn and Gedson Fernandes on loan.
Who we didn't want.
Right. So when people...
And he had a Kane, and remember, he had an injured Kane in January. Then Son got injured not long after that when he broke his arm. And we were going into games with Dele Alli up front. So let's have a bit of context.
But we were actually doing well under Jose for a period of time. We can't forget that. We were doing well. We were top of the league. But look, it's come full circle. When Dyer was making the mistakes he was making when we're top of the league, like Sanchez and stuff like that. Like, it's like, look, maybe to end off, I'm going to say where I'm at, and then that's the last I'm going to say. For me, I think, unless it's really, really bad like Nuno, like glaringly bad like Nuno, where we're not creating any chances whatsoever and stuff like that, I'll put it on a manager. But I just failed to put Dyer and Sanchez and the mistakes and costly errors that some of these guys across the back line are making on serial winners who have won things. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry.
I don't blame him for that.
But can I
blame him for Royal? Why pick Royal?
But
then he picked Doherty. Doherty's just as bad.
Why not Spence then?
He's not. He's signing. Everyone said this at the summer. It's not his signing. It's club signing.
So that's all right then.
You've
got Royal though. You cut your nose off, spite your face.
Well, we know with Conte. Like, this is the thing. The board shouldn't have signed him because they know with Conte he wants players that he believes in, that he wants. If not, he's not going to play them.
Let me ask you guys a question, right? Just really, really quickly.
The Royal thing can't be defended. No way.
Right.
No, look, I would like to see Royal, but at the end of the day, we're asking, like,
We can't. He can't say that.
The club brought him in. The club brought him in knowing that he wasn't going to use him because they know that Conte wants his players.
Yeah, but he didn't get his players. But he's got a player that's better than Royal. Yeah, he's not playing him. That's unexcusable. You've got to take that politics out of it and go, do you know what? I can't keep playing that clown.
Look,
Yeah.
I get it with the defenders, right? I think we all know that. But even the managers that have had these defenders before, I don't remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. If someone in the chat has got any facts to back this up, I will turn around and go, I'm wrong. I don't remember with any of these other managers with these poor defenders going 8 games conceded first. 5 out of those 8 games we go 2-0 down. I don't remember it being this bad at the back.
I don't know. I think you need to go back and rewatch some games under Jose Mourinho.
They've made plenty of mistakes. But I don't remember. There's never been a run like that. It's not every game is a defensive mistake. There's been plenty lately, but not every game in the last 8 where we've been behind.
Like the thing is, sometimes things can be black and white. So when we keep saying, oh yeah, we know they're bad defenders, but then moving on to Conte every time. Like, when are we actually going to have a serious conversation on how bad these guys actually are on and off the ball? You can't blame Conte.
We know that.
But the thing is, we're missing the point. You can't blame Conte for Dyer making a mistake every single game. At some point, it has to be on the individual. You can't.
No, I get that.
He can't stand on the pitch and instruct Dyer to keep going. He can't stand behind Eric Dyer and say, "Do you know what? I thought this was obvious."
He picks him every game.
He can't do that.
He picks him.
I get that, but I'm saying Eric Dyer don't make a mistake every single game at the last 8 where we've been behind in the first half.
But sometimes the players regress.
Yeah, but listen, he's never been that to regress anyway. He's always been shit, in my opinion. Yeah, and he's still shit now. But what I'm saying is, the way we're playing and have been playing, we haven't made, like, what was it, 5 games in a row we've been 2-0 down at half time or something like that. There's not been 2 defensive mistakes in every single game to get us down. Yeah, there's been a tactical element where we keep dropping back and conceding possession, and it's only a matter of time. It's not the defense's fault all the time. We're conceding 8 shots on goal. Yeah, you can't blame everything on the defence. Like, you can't blame it all on Conte. But the individual mistakes, they're from the defenders that A, he picks, and B, we know do it anyway. But
we've got to stop with this picking nonsense, because, like I said, tell me who you want him to pick.
But if you don't try anything different,
he's not tried nothing different. But he's not tried nothing different.
Try something different.
If he tried something different, I'd leave him alone.
He has. He's moved Langley out from the left into the middle. He's moved players.
Yeah, but it's still a back 3. He's still a back 3. He's still Royal there.
We say we want him to go to a back 4 with Romero, but he can't pick Romero if he's injured. So how can he go to a back 4 like you guys want if he doesn't have Romero as an option?
The Romero and Son injury gets used a lot, right? Gets used a lot. They've not been injured the whole time.
Romero's been injured the majority of the season.
Look, I listen, for me, I don't listen. One game, I'm not even saying I rate this guy because I don't. But why not put Tanganga in instead of Dyer? Why?
I was about to say that. Put
Look,
Tanganga
I'm not saying he's a good defender, but I'm saying if you constantly do the same thing, yeah. Listen, I'm not saying he's.
But we're asking him to pick guys that we all want to be sold. Let's be realistic about it.
But he's picking guys that want to be sold anyway. Half the team I know to be sold. You want to be sold.
But this is my point then he doesn't have a great selection to pick from, so you can't.
No, I know that, but don't make it worse by picking more of the players that are poor.
Yeah, that's the thing for me.
It doesn't help the situation. I've got a back 3. I've got to pick 3 shit defenders. Well, why not just play? You might only have 2 average defenders, but then I'd rather see us play with 4 average midfielders or 3 average midfielders than 3 average defenders.
But Pete, read this comment. Look at this comment. This for me is everything I've been saying.
Exactly. Right? Yeah.
If you have got poor defenders, don't then play a style of football on top of that. That means we're going to see the ball in our defence more.
But I think we're missing the point here, though, Sava. Like, we're trying to play possession-based football, building up from the back. Go and look at our first half possession stats. If we keep giving the ball away to the opposition, it's natural. Anyone that's played in the team knows it's natural. If you keep gifting the ball away, you end up, as a result, without even your manager telling you, you end up dropping deeper and deeper and deeper. In fact, most of the time it's on the sideline. The man just telling you to push up. But as a team, you end up just naturally dropping deeper to protect your goal because you keep giving the ball away. Yesterday was different because we were better on the ball than what we've been in the last month and a half. And then people say it's a tactic to sit back first half. Look, where I would get in line with you is, yes, it's a tactic to consolidate when we're out of possession. But if we were better in possession, we wouldn't have to sit back so much.
I agree, but then when he's playing Emerson Royal, so every time that ball goes down that right hand side with that idiot, you might as well start turning around.
Same with Matt Doherty. It's the same with Matt
Doherty. Don't lose it half as much as
yes, he does. Yeah? I'm telling you now, he does.
He
loses it more than Emerson.
I'd have Doherty in the team over Royal any day of the week. And
come sit in the Aviva with me on international duties and enjoy him in the Premier League and international.
What he does for Ireland, I'm sure Brazilians would say the same if to you when they go in America.
But I'm saying they're both shit. Like, I'm not sitting here pinning it on Conte going, why is he picking Emerson? I'm sitting here and saying,
but when you watch Royal and you see the stuff he does and how comical it is. Yeah, and you could say,
it's embarrassing.
How does that man get in the team? I'm not saying Doherty is miles ahead of him. I'm not saying that at all. But when you see him and you're like, how can that idiot, and he is an idiot, let's be honest, he's kicking it out the stadium. He's doing no-look passes that don't come off when we're chasing a game. The one yesterday, did you see the one yesterday? Where he gets the ball and then he puts it straight through midfield to one of their players and they turn around and run straight out. What is that? You can't defend that.
No,
you can't pick a player that.
This is the difference. I think
there's no player in the team that's worse than him. He's the worst player.
This is where we're getting mixed up, though, my man. You're blaming Conte for picking Emerson. What I'm saying is, I don't blame. It doesn't matter who he picks. It does not matter. Both of them are shit. Matt Doherty, he put in one cross yesterday, but the majority of the time he spends his time passing the ball inside and losing it. It's been a repetitive team.
Okay, but what I will say, every time. As soon as Royal goes off the pitch, the performance picks up. Yeah, because he's one of his first subs is getting rid of him. He's taking him off.
When he came on against Marseille, the performance picked up. There's times where he's come on and the performance.
Come on.
It's true. He did. He had an effect on the Marseille game.
Oh, no.
Oh, Royal is possibly the worst player I've ever seen in a Spurs shirt.
He is awful. He looks like he won a competition.
Listen, but this is my point. Like, you're pinning it on Conte saying, well, he picks Emerson. But you won't sit there and admit they're both shit. And
I said they're both shit, but I'm saying Emerson is much more shit than anyone else I've ever seen. He is. Come on.
To be fair, David suffers through an awful lot of watching Doherty for Ireland, so I'll trust his judgment on that.
I don't see Doherty do these ridiculous things on a game-by-game basis. That I'm not saying either of them are good. The point to this is, stop being so stubborn, Mr. Conte. Show us Jed Spence. Show us that he's worse than the other two. Show us. Because that's what he's saying by not playing him. By not playing him, he's telling us that he is the third best fullback on the right-hand side of the club. Look, guys, we do just want to quickly read out. I agree with this, by the way. Shane has said we are easy to play against. We set up the same way every game. Everyone knows how we're set up. Basuma in a 2 was rated the third best in the Prem in that position by his numbers. Shane, I agree with you. One of my biggest things about Conte is it doesn't matter who we play, where we play, at home, away, bottom of the league, top of the league. We still start the games the same way. We play the same type of football. We go a goal down. All of a sudden, Bentancur gets released and suddenly becomes this playmaker. But look, guys, there'll be more.
Again, I think it's another unfair thing aimed at Conte. I mean, no one gives out that Klopp and Guardiola playing the same way. All top managers play the same way. They don't believe they should have to change for the opposition. The opposition should change for them. So I don't think it's something you can aim at Conte.
But hang on. But 99% of the time when Klopp and Pep are doing it, it's working. Conte's doing it week out, and it's not working.
When he first came in, it wasn't working. But you continue with his
Mourinho was and Ferguson as well. They're both brave enough to change things during the first half when they say it's not working.
Yeah, look,
there is some stubbornness going on here with Conte that I'm not impressed with. But
I think that's where
trophy. So a
lot of my frustration, Kuva, comes from it's the fact that things that other managers have been blamed for time and time and time again, Conte just apparently seems to be. He's completely blame-free because he's won a league somewhere else. right? He's completely blame-free for everything. I'm not saying all the problems sit with Conte, but when you're seeing the same thing every game, 8 games in a row now, we've gone behind. That at what point do you go, right, this really isn't working? Today, boys, I want to see 4-3, whatever it may be. That's all I'm saying. But look, there'll be other times to discuss this, I'm sure. That's the beauty of this. David,
it all comes down to that one point for me. I was prepared to give Conte the rub of the green, see what he can do. Didn't want him as manager in the first place, but let's see what he can do with this team. But that Man United game changed my mind. That was where I stopped believing where we're going. And to see it again against Forest, I just don't see the direction of this club now.
Yeah, look, yeah, absolutely. I agree. I don't know what we're trying to do. And look, the thing for me, just before we wrap up, is I can't see. People say to me, "Oh, but you can see what Conte's trying to do." I can't, because what happens is I see that he sets us up, we're boring, and then individual brilliance wins us games. And look, that's
thank
just
God
me.
for Kulusevski. That's it.
That's just me. But look, guys, I keep trying to stop the show. I'm stopping the show. Listen, David, thank you so much for giving us your evening. I'll see you again next week. Pete, thank you very much for jumping on. Kuva, as always, thank you to everyone in the chat. I think there's been lots of really good debates. Everyone's kept it really, even if they disagreed, no one's been horrible to each other. So thank you very much for everyone. Please like, please subscribe. And we will see you again next week. Thanks, everyone. Take care. We are